Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Fraser Council meeting. Cindy, could you please take roll call?
Councilmember Bransky. Present. Councilmember Blanky. Mayor Carnegie.
Here.
Councilmember Kolka. Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Here.
Councilmember Sutherland.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Kolka and Councilwoman Blanky from the meeting tonight. Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Anyone like to entertain the motion for the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
A motion, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, citizen participation on an agenda item, which tonight is the budget. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to ask anything about or mention anything about the budget, now you can. I see none. I'll bring her back to council. New business discussion of proposed fiscal year 23-24 budget. Did you want an opening statement?
I would love to open it. So thank you very much for coming here tonight. And what you have before you is the required recommended budget that I prepared per our city charter for city council to consider at this budget workshop. We have had the required public notice for a public hearing and the public hearing, which was held on April 13th. So today we are here for council to have their opportunity to review the budget and make any recommendations for changes prior to our meeting next Thursday, where we will be looking to have a budget approval. Some of the summary items for this budget, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that this is some ongoing changes from the chart of accounts. I've been working on some more consolidation of accounts. One thing that you may notice is the capital expenditures fund 401. We don't have the items in there. We actually have them within the departments. One of the things about the chart of accounts changes from the state is that you should only be putting capital items in there that are bonded. So if, for example, we do go through with a bond for street improvements, we would be putting those capital improvement items in the 401 fund. Otherwise, they're throughout the budget in the separate departments and funds and expenses.
And 401, is that the general fund? Is that?
Nope, that's the capital.
At the capital, oh, I see. So the fund we created, now we have to.
Correct, yeah, we, if you recall
Because of
from
it.
last year, we had a lot of our capital items in there, and with the chart of accounts and really getting probably clarification on some of the things. I'm not necessarily sure if it was originally designed to have been in there, but just getting that clarification, certainly always making improvements based upon information that I have is a goal of mine. Also, one of the other things that I have created throughout the budget is a line item for elected and appointed officials' pay. So you'll see really shifting from some of the salaries into that elected and appointed officials' pay. Similar to last year, the layout's very much the same. I utilized BSNA's system instead of exporting to Excel or anything else and spending a lot of time on formatting, because we have a great program that we already pay for, and utilizing the notes, we can have information throughout the budget so that not only council, but the public and the departments can utilize these notes throughout the year when we are making any of these major purchases or amending budget throughout the year. We already know things that have been earmarked for any type of line item. So you'll see that those notes are those shaded items for line items throughout the budget. That is certainly something, based on feedback from you or department heads, we can always add more notes if you would like. The significant things in the budget that are really items that are at your discretion are things such as wages, staffing, and capital items, and what you may want to do with fund balance. With that being said, as far as the wages, we did recently approve the POAM contract, and I have incorporated those wage changes into this budget along with any of the other departments that are affected by that. I'm recommending a 2.5% increase for non-union staff. There are several other positions that I have a little bit more of a change. For the building manager, I'm recommending a change from $23 an hour to $25. For the code official, a change from $19.50 to $20.50 an hour. And for the crossing guards, a change from $11.50 an hour to $15 an hour. One of the other significant changes with, yes,
Crossing guards?
crossing guards. So we've
Why doesn't the school pay for those?
It's something that is in our budget. I don't know if we get reimbursed. Maybe Sam can talk about that when we get to the detail for the departments.
We've always done it, though.
Just because we've always done it doesn't mean we should continue. We just passed a bond, for cripe's sake.
Yeah. So one of the other things is the consolidation of our buildings and grounds. So with the chart of accounts, there's now a buildings and grounds department. So we used to have each building as an individual department. So like the Baumgarten House, the Senior Activity Center, City Hall, DPW building, all of these were separate. With the chart of accounts change, it's all consolidated into buildings and grounds. The only exception is the recreation. Aside from, I would say, buildings, everything else from recreation for the facilities and grounds is in its own department. Not to be confused with the actual recreation and senior activity center programming departments, which are two different departments. Speaking of recreation, we do have a new recreation coordinator, and he is here tonight. He has really kind of been brought in blind because Sarah Mastretta, who had been through pretty much a year of recreation, has since left, so he does not have really any resources to tap into in the office from the administrative perspective. Obviously, with the Recreation Commission and other people in the community, I would hope that he'd be able to tap into some of these resources for assistance on how some of the past events have been managed, and I know he's been working with other department heads on coordinating things coming up, like our city picnic, the fireworks, the parade. So we're still going to be, I think, struggling a little bit this year from the recreation perspective. We certainly do have money in there for temporary employees, more than what we've utilized this year, hoping to really step that up, and that's always something that we can readdress at any time in the future. Just as a reminder, this is just a plan. It's not set in stone. It can really be changed absolutely every single month if we wanted to, though I would not recommend it, and it's a lot of work. With the water and sewer fund, we are still in a good position with the water and sewer fund from a financial perspective of the fund balance in there. We do need to do a new rate study. That is something that, to be able to know if we are charging the correct amount, we really need to have a rate study, because we should not be in a position where we just unilaterally raise the money, or raise the fees for water and sewer without really knowing if it's an appropriate amount or not, because we don't want to get in a position where we unilaterally decide without a rate study, we raise it, say, 10%, and that's too much. So within this budget, we will be doing a rate study in the next fiscal year to prepare for next year. And it likely will be a 5-year study, so we will have a good look forward for those rates. The self-insurance fund is something that I had been working with Sarah on a little bit before we left. She's actually reached out to our benefits coordinator, Advanced Benefits, and looking at the self-insurance fund, we may be at a tipping point where it may not make sense to be self-insured anymore. We are to a point where we're going to have to transfer some money into that fund as part of our year-end budget amendments. And I would anticipate that probably sometime towards the end of the year, we will have a better idea about the self-funding. Typically with insurance, if we wanted to make some type of change like that and go from a self-funded to a pay directly to Blue Cross Blue Shield for benefits, it's typically on a January 1st calendar year plan. So that's kind of the summary. I also included the list of the capital items. These are items that are put in the budget for both the general fund and also all of the other funds, including water, sewer, senior housing, motor pool. The general fund capital items that we have in there are a little over $2.5 million, and the non-general fund are 4.7 million, with a grand total of 7.3 million. With that being said, I think that kind of how we went through the budget last year is that if you had any questions or wanted to focus on any particular department questions, we do have the department heads here. They will be able to give you probably some detailed information on questions that you may have regarding the budget. Other than that, I think that's it for my summary.
Okay, great. I know, Pat, you had a question to start off with. Go ahead.
Yeah, so can we go to page 10 on the budget? It's on page 1 there. So I got a question because it kind of, the answer to it really affects everything. So on 22-23 activity, I'm looking at that column is through February 23rd, right? That's like our ending balance, the 15,607 at the very bottom. The 15,607,699. That's what the end balance general fund was at the end of February.
Correct, and that's just with the revenue and expenditures that
Right, that's
we
just
have
a-
accounted for in the system, though
Right.
it does not take into consideration everything that we have in the budget.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that say you might get an invoice at the end of the fiscal year and pay it, so it's not something where you can,
Which is what the next column over the amended budget, that's what a council approved with all the changes. That's kind of ballpark where it should end at the end of June 30th, correct?
correct.
Okay. So the question I have, why are we using for our 2023-24 starting balance the ending balance of February 28th? So it's saying we're going to start the year out with 15.6 million, when it really should be closer, we should be using that 9.1 million, because that's where we roughly should be ending up. That's like a $6.5 million swing.
The way that BSNA does it is it takes from your current number. So that's why you see.
But we start the year off July 1st, correct? So
Correct,
we
but-
should be
but
going
it's
off
feeding off
June
the-
30th,
It's feeding off the activity number that we have to date.
but that's like a 6.5. So really, what I'm getting at is that really for the 2023-24 beginning balance, really that number is going to be somewhere in the $9 million range, give or take, depending on if we spend everything or don't spend everything. And then after, we're going to show a deficit of $1.15 million. So we're actually going to estimate that we're going to end the year around with $8 million once all said and done, not $14,500,000.
likely we are going to have a number of budget amendments.
Correct, but what I'm saying is, for
correct.
everybody involved, we're not going to, at the end of the year, next year, we're not going to have $14.5 million in the bank.
Probably not.
It's going to be closer to 8 million, give or take, depending on
If we did
on other
everything-
factors, but I mean,
Yeah, if we did everything that we planned, yes, that would be what it would be.
Okay.
Which is still a very healthy fund balance, so our,
which I agree. I just, it looks like we got 6.5 million more than what we did.
No.
That's why I'm like, wait a minute,
I'm
so.
like, sweet.
Yeah, well, you know, forget the road bond, right? So, but I just want to be clear that, you know, after all said and done, based on what we have presented right now without any changes, we're looking at roughly, give or take a little bit, about $8 million that we project to be at the end of next year.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm 100% on board on that, okay? Because in my opinion, it should take the amended budget number and start with that on your beginning balance. I don't know
would
why.
like that, but unfortunately, that's not the way that BSNA is set up.
Okay. Okay, that's my first question. That's the first, so I just want to make sure that we know where we're beginning and start, you know, roughly start. I know we don't spend everything in the year, you know, by the end of the year. So it could be more, it could be less, depending if we decide to add things in there, but instead of taking off that 14.5, we're going to be taking it off around 8 million, give.
And that's actually something that I was working with Sarah before she left, is putting together a resolution for your consideration for what's your target number for fund balance? You know, where do you want to be? Do you want to be 10, 30, 50, 100% of your expenditures for the year? Right now, this really, the 8 million really falls within a good number for what most, I think, auditors or CPAs recommend for.
Oh, half our budget's roughly what, about 15%? We're looking at 16 million. So if after the end of the year, we're looking at roughly 50% fund balance in the general fund. If we end out at the year at 8 million and we're bringing in 16.2,
Yep. for the
that's
general
50%. Okay. All right. And then you mentioned the rate increases for department heads and things. Is that all figured into this already? Yes. Okay, so that's,
That and also.
we approve everything that's already baked into these numbers.
Yep, and this changed from the original one that I had put together based on the approval that we had of the POAM contract and all of the effects that it has on the other contracts.
Okay. That's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Mayor
You're all
Pro Tem
night.
Shornack.
So I have a question with regards to the rubbish collection disposal.
Okay.
I know Mr. Lessig had brought it up too, and I thought we would have maybe adjusted these numbers, but we collect monthly on our water bills, correct, for the rubbish, pickup, recycling, whole 9 yards. Why do we have so much in there? That seems like we have more than what we're spending, for sure, by quite a bit. So why wouldn't we move, and are we allowed to? I guess that's really my big question. Are we allowed to make that GL move, take some of that money out of there, move it into the water fund so that we can maybe possibly offset any of the any of the rate that increase that's coming through? Because I know we're getting like a 2.6 rate increase, right, on the water? Yes, no, maybe? That's what I have for my notes. No, it was more than that, never mind, that was something else. So I know we have a rate increase coming from Detroit. So is that something that we are legally allowed to do financially, moving some of that money out of the rubbish and into like the water fund so that we can offset that?
I do not believe that we can use the rubbish funds for anything else. So I think we have 2 more years left on this contract. And one thing to consider why you might need fund balance in that is if you do change contractors, you're going to have an upfront cost for new bins. Possibly.
Possibly, true. And I understand that too, but I still don't think we need that much. I'm not saying empty it, I'm not saying drain the swamp. I'm saying reallocate some of those money and/or if we can make a lower rate for the residents on that right now, and then that kind of will offset more or less our water bills, I'm thinking. I know I hear about it all the time, our water bills. Somebody was doing something the other day, I'm like, listen, water in Fraser is really expensive, don't leave my faucet running. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I'm just saying, I think we can do some cost savings at least, and it might be minute, but I think something is better than nothing for our residents, especially that fund, because that seems to be really, really stacked.
Has a rate increase been included in this budget for trash collection, or is it,
Well, it's not a rate increase on the trash, it's a rate increase on the water. That's why I was asking if we could just move it from one GL to the other.
but you're talking about
To
the
offset
fat fund is the trash?
Yeah, the fat fund is the trash one.
Why is it so fat?
Yeah. Do we know?
I mean, I know you're,
I do not know, no.
is it always, I
Can-
mean, it's
It
fat.
just,
No, it's
it just seems like it's,
substantially.
yeah, substantially large. So can we possibly look at that, and
Absolutely.
whomever you have in the interim helping out with that, can we get a little more clarity on that particular subject?
Yep.
That would be. Also, well,
One thing to take into consideration when we do the millage rate, when we set the millage rates, doing our L 4029, last year, I believe that we did it in conjunction with the budget, and this year, because we potentially have a street bond, I'm holding off on the L 4029. So when we do that tax rate setting in September, we could lower the rate for the rubbish collection.
okay. That could be something we could do.
Excellent.
That'll give some time to
Help offset some.
Make sure, yeah, we're,
finance director come in and do a little bit of research and homework on the history of this fund balance and potentially what options we have with that.
Is that something that maybe Don could get a jump start on? I don't know, the legality of reallocating some of the money? Or you know?
oh, no, not even, yeah. I would wait for an accountant. A CPA will be
Oh,
able to.
I know, but the legality issue, I mean,
I think that's going to fall under a CPA, though, to tell us, they'll tell us whether or not we're allowed to move money within that fund for other,
also be able to
I'm
just
pretty sure with that
talk to John
being
Walters.
a taxed item, that you can only use it for what you say you're gonna use it for.
Collect a trash bill, you got to use it for a trash bill, or for the
Yeah,
trash.
you know, we've got several other funds.
and we can definitely
that
lower the rate.
We need someone to be able to find the time to do the research about what the funds were originally used for, what we can do with the money, who's the owner of the money, if there's anything that we have to, say, reimburse to residents as part of a millage or bond or something like that, or if it's something that can be rolled into the general fund. A couple of the ones you'll see later, I think, in the budget, some of the last pages. I think there's a court one. There's a previous bond one, you know, pretty small numbers, like 30,000 or so in some of these, but it's something for the finance director, when we get a new person and someone that has the time to be able to do that job, that's gonna be something that needs to be done.
can you just tell me what those were, just so we can take a note on them? Do you have them handy?
Let's see, one is the Fund 301.
Okay.
We've got like $358 in there. I think that that's something that, getting like
Yeah, that's okay, just tell me the
tax
funds, just so I
bills
have a bill.
paid off. I don't know when we can close the account. I don't know what we can close that money out to, so that's one of,
Is that the money that was for the building bond?
general debt service fund is the only information that I have. Local.
Yeah, because that would have been for,
stabilization.
that's, I was going to ask about that, too. I was just trying to find the stupid page it was on.
And it's something that we have had current activity this year, and it's likely from back taxes that were paid that were part of that. So I don't know how long we need to keep this on the books, and that's really something for CPA, accountant, finance person to figure out that, solve the mystery, and work on getting it closed. But once again, it's also something that's gonna take some research and time, and the right person to be able to do that. Another one is the 305 debt service for 2015 street bond.
Yeah.
We've had some recent activity in that as well, and there's 352,000 in that.
That can,
That
that
was-
could be
then
just,
that was the one I
that
was
could,
thinking
that's,
of.
that's been paid off, so that could be moved
Yeah.
into the general fund,
It
right?
can be moved.
That's something we need to figure out. We need to get answers on that. If it's a bond, who?
Because it was to pay the
Oh,
debt.
does that
owner
go
of the
back
money.
to the resident?
Yeah.
Or could
Well-
it go to the new bond?
No, I think it could, as long as it paid off the bond funds, can it just go to the general? As long as it's paid off that debt service,
It's something that's gonna take the right person to do the research and find the time to do it. But as of now, it will sit on our books and we need to
Okay.
get it sorted out.
So that's project number 1 when,
Yep, that's why I was writing a list.
uh-huh.
When we're interviewing, we're like,
can do
what
some
do you
good
know about
improvements with
debt
that.
bond service and reimbursement to the residents?
Yes. Let's see.
What about the fire truck? That, we bought and paid for that out of general funds money, but it was never taken out of the forfeiture funds, and it looks like it's being added back in for next year. So shouldn't we be moving that 659,000 or 58,000 to the general fund?
Usually a lot of that is done at like year end.
Okay, but it's not in the budget. It's in the budget not to be done. So that, I just want to make sure that does get done. That's a substantial amount.
You talking our current budget or this proposed?
Current, page 17, I show where the amended budget shows that we paid, or we approved for 658,595 to be taken out, but then the 23-24 budget, it shows that it's still in there.
But it's
It
paid.
didn't reduce the beginning, it didn't reduce the fund balance.
Yeah, like it should have.
They should.
So it's
It
just,
did that same it carried over the current instead of
You're not looking at the requested budget line item, are you?
yes,
recommended budget.
because there was about 972,000 in there, and for this year's budget, it shows 987,000 in there.
Yeah, when it should just be that 314.
So it should be about
It's just that
314.
BSNA carrying over the.
That's the same type thing as it's just carrying over that.
So
That's,
that takes us to
It's-
8.6 million, you know,
Right, it's the
for,
budgeted amount, it just has not been taken out yet.
but it,
That's-
okay, because I was worried, because it was in the budget for next year, that should be, it's just a journal entry more or less, right? Or moving from one.
Right, yeah.
Down to
It'd be
the
a
other.
year-end journal entry.
Okay,
It's paid.
yeah, that's why I know, it's sitting in the
He's just making
garage.
sure it's
Right,
paid
no, I
from
get
so that's good. So we
So-
still have 314,000.
Yeah, so we have
Right.
315 for next year's budget, 987.
Well, that's good, in case Sam's department needs stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's specific stuff, but I'm just saying.
Well, we don't want to use it all up anyway.
Well, we don't, but I'm just saying it's nice to still have something left after the fire truck.
Yes.
Yep. That was the drug forfeiture? Mm-hmm. Or gambling?
That's the forfeiture fund, 17, page 17.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to ask the same thing.
I thought,
So that's a good chunk of change. All right.
Awesome.
Elaine, I mentioned to you before, even our last meeting, we had post-budget, the priming of the sealer in the McKinley Park.
What page are you on?
Yep.
We're going to put that in,
So
is it, I
we-
don't see it here.
We actually do have enough in one of the line items for that. It'd be in parks maintenance.
Okay.
The estimate for the McKinley path ceiling is gonna be 10,000.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I think we have like 110 or something in there.
Okay.
So are we not doing all of the paths that we paid to redo? Why are we just
I don't think
doing
they
McKinley?
need, McKinley's the oldest out of the new paths, so I think we could probably do that. I don't know, Marky, you would be the expert. I would think we would just take one a year to seal. But
We're supposed to
McKinley's like
Regularly.
7 years old, so it needs to be sealed.
I know they
Well,
should.
that's-
We're actually recommending to do two, McKinley and Blanky. Because we can, if we do it this year, we'll probably be able to get away with sealing.
Microphone.
You gotta come
Gotta
up.
come to the mic.
So McKinley, the estimate for McKinley is 10,000, and the estimate for Blanky that he was talking about, they'll also be recommending to do in this next fiscal year is 7,500. The budgeted amount that we have in 101,770 for repairs and maintenance for park is 100,000, so we should easily be able to accommodate that. The only other item that we have set aside for that line item is 20,000 for cemetery fence repairs.
Yes, all that.
So we have a pretty significant amount of money in there and hopefully should be able to cover that. Obviously, there's a lot of things throughout the year that we need to pay for.
Cemetery's gonna fall under recreation stuff or parks?
It's our park.
Well, I know it's
We
our
own it.
property, I'm just saying,
We have to maintain
They
it.
won't complain.
Can't let people out.
People are parked there.
I'm just saying. I just,
He's here all night, guys.
okay then. Oh, really quick, though, segue into something completely separate, just really quick. From that text I sent you with regards to the mail for the Historical Commission, did you find out if Hunter has got the mail?
I did not.
Okay, could you?
Yeah.
Need to figure that out. I'll be talking about that later, but since he was here, I figured I'd ask him.
So circling back, though, I don't know when it was decided or who decided to just do those two parks, because I wasn't privy to that conversation. And to me.
That was Mark working with Mike, I think.
Okay, perfect. But to me, I feel like it should, anything that we've poured, I didn't realize McKinley was that old, but we were just talking about it before the meeting. Anything we've poured in the last 4 years, so since I've been on council, we should just maintain it all and seal it all. And with these quotes, that's not cost prohibitive. And I'm thinking I'm assuming the quotes were to come in and do both of them. It's one vendor. That's the plan, right? That's sealed.
One vendor to do both.
Right, so if they then get to do 3 other parks, or, right, we've done 3 other paths. We've done Somerset, Pompo, and,
Harrington, or did we do
no, we
Harrington?
didn't do Harrington.
Oh, we didn't
Fraser
do
Meadows. North.
Meadows, okay.
Fraser Meadows has got a very small.
So I just feel like then you get on this program, right? So, because this is the problem, when we do one and then we forget and then it gets neglected. And to me, I'd rather it be more comprehensive.
Yes,
And I don't know what you guys feel like, but
Yeah, it should be preventative maintenance.
Well, it's like 2 a year, like just flip.
I just
the
feel like,
years.
why are we not just doing, what is that, 5?
I don't know.
Like, to me, and this is the question for us, because this is the budget, and we can move money, to me, it just makes more sense. Do these 5, then they're on the same rotational path, no pun intended, and then we're looking at the other paths that may need repairs or renovations or whatever, and they're on a different track. Does that make sense?
If they need to be sealed.
But they need other things. I mean, like, at the time, we didn't do Harrington, because we were like, it's not horrible compared to the other ones, and we just didn't have the funds for it. Maybe we'll have funds, but that's, to me, if we're gonna maintain and we're gonna have a vendor come out, have them do everything we've done in the last 4 years, because the longer we wait, the worse it is if we're gonna seal, right? Like, isn't it ideal to seal sooner than later?
Absolutely. But keep in mind, some of them were just done,
That's what I was thinking.
right? So
That
some
was
of them were, I mean, literally just
No,
done.
it's,
Somerset's only like a year old because they had to come and redo it, remember?
oh, that's yours, you got redone. Ours is already, I mean, it's already
we
starting to
just
deteriorate
did
a little bit,
Pompo.
where I'm like,
We literally just did Pompo, like,
it's 2 years,
years.
at least.
Yeah.
no, we just did Pompo while I was here. I mean, like, back in the fall.
Oh, you mean sealed Pompo's path?
No, I mean, laid the whole path at Pompo.
Laid the whole path.
Isn't Pompo by my house?
It is. Pompo is by your house. We just,
If they need it, because I know there's 2 that really did.
Well, I guess that's the, that's.
It was
okay, let me start-
originally-
let me
I
start
think
at the
it was
beginning.
originally
Let me start,
supposed to
'cause I
be
wasn't
done
privy
if-
to the conversation that some people were privy to. Let me get information first. When, after you lay a path, are you supposed to seal it? What's the recommendation for when you should start the sealing process?
that would be a question for Scott.
No,
No,
no, we're talking about sealing.
Sealing the asphalt path.
Asphalt.
3 years.
Well, I mean, most paths that, at least that I've seen, don't get seal coated at all.
Ever.
Right. Now, joint sealing, you should do as soon as you start to see cracks in them.
We're not talking about that. Just sealing.
Yeah, sealing, honestly, I don't think I've been involved in a project where we've seal coated a pathway.
Okay.
Okay, so who was it that was part of the conversation to seal coat this pathway?
Because it was brought up, we just brought it up last meeting, just with regards to,
Okay, I thought you said that these 2 gentlemen were the ones that,
Mike,
oh, I'm sorry.
this is Scott.
Okay. I just heard, I lump you all together.
At the last
it's okay.
meeting, there was conversation about getting some pricing for seal coating,
McKinley.
McKinley. And then Mark, when you were with Mike, you were talking about the need for Blanky as well.
But Scott doesn't recommend it, but Mike did.
Well, I don't know.
Seal coating.
Are we talking seal coating? Are we talking, there's several different treatments. It could be
a
a
black-
slurry
Just seal
seal.
coating.
Just seal coating.
Just seal coating.
All the cracks and micro cracks and all that stuff. It's like a driveway.
Yeah, right. And as you you know, like my driveway isn't seal coated. My parents' driveway was seal coated. I really think it's more or less, there's a lot of different arguments out there as to whether or not seal coating effectively extends the life of an asphalt pavement. But it definitely makes it look better. There's no doubt about that. So,
Well, yeah, it wasn't for cosmetics, it was for,
Safety's sake.
and the cracks that have started,
Mm-hmm.
trying to avoid them from spreading faster, right? I'm assuming, was that the?
that's,
Mark?
yeah, that's why thought we were talking about joint sealing, like you do basically on a road.
What were you thinking, Mark?
I was actually thinking it might be a combination of both.
Okay.
I like the combination of
Yeah,
both.
me too, because I don't want to put a top coat on if it's not gonna,
Depends on what it needs.
Because I believe McKinley has some cracks already, so we need
Well,
to
yeah.
fix those and then seal.
Yeah,
seal
for
it
sure.
After that, so that's what I would be in
think
favor
that people are
of.
thinking things and saying things that aren't experts in the field, and we're taking suggestions and ideas, and then we're not gonna get what they want, because really what they want is a path that lasts, right?
Correct.
So,
Maintenance.
to me, it's what will help prolong the life of the asphalt paths that we have in the 5 parks. That's what I would like to see budgeted and accomplished.
There's no question, either whether you put a seal coat over it or you don't, you have to seal the cracks. Water getting in is,
Okay, and then now circle back to my first question. I guess in the ideal world, then the second you see cracks, that's when you start the process?
correct. Yep.
Got it. And then if you seal coat it, I'm sorry, if you.
Joint
whatever,
seal.
Thank you. Then seal coat it, does that help more than if you don't seal coat it?
Like I said, I think there's a lot of different things you can look up and talk, and people you can talk to. A seal coating provider is going to tell you yes. I've heard a lot of asphalt people say that it doesn't necessarily prolong the life of the pavement. So
Got it. So I guess, just so we're all giving the proper direction, at least the 5 of us, what's the preference? I mean, my preference is to fill the cracks and extend the life, not put a top coat nail polish on it that
No, my,
Oh, no.
wear off with weather.
Actually,
Because that's
walk-
what I'm thinking, like I have that exposed aggregate and we seal it because it looks shiny.
Yeah,
And then it
that's-
wears away and then next summer we that's what I feel like the seal coat would be.
yeah,
And
my parents, my dad would make me seal coat it every year, and it looked great when I was done, but I don't think it necessarily
I
extended
see.
the life of it.
Does that make sense then? Are you guys,
yeah, no, I actually walked it and there's just a lot
little
of
areas?
cracks.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the sealer is this heavy tar stuff they roll and it fills,
Right.
like some dry, it actually can fill a 1/8-inch crack.
And I don't think that's not for 10 grand for the.
Usually
path. That's-
usually when you seal coat, you go through and do the cracks separately and then seal coat over the whole thing.
What's the typical cost? I understand we have to get bids, but does that have a price per square foot?
270.
$2.70 to, I'm very naive on this.
Yes.
So $2.70 a square foot?
Mike called, I think it was last night, yesterday, he called in, and that was kind of like the
Average.
The average was was 270 a square foot,
So should we have him so that we are budgeting properly, get
square yard, excuse me.
a better estimate, hopefully by next week, of if we did all 5 parks, the recommended, can you tell me what that is again, the phrase? The joint ceiling?
Yeah.
Does that,
Yeah, I think we should get some bids. We should get it done.
Yeah, we gotta
and
do
then
it
we
right.
can have the budget properly reflect the work, and then you guys could then do the RFPs and get it done.
Can you be specific in the 5 parks?
So it'd be McKinley, Blanky, Pompo, Somerset, and Fraser Meadow North. Or Fraser, I don't know what it's called.
Meadows.
Okay. So Pompo was,
Well, yeah, no, because now if because then, I'm afraid, guess,
Pompo would not need to be done. It was.
there are cracks in Pompo.
In Pompo?
I walk it every day. There are cracks.
Okay, it was just literally done.
It's been a whole year, for sure.
Well, why don't we,
Then, I mean, is there anything?
I don't know.
we can do about
Yeah, we go check it out.
Okay.
I'll be happy to meet you there.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot. It's not horrible by any means.
Meadows is, there's only a short,
No, I know, and I know
area.
all that, and the point was just that the.
Well, I'm just
town's
saying-
Maintenance plan, like, right?
yeah, I'm just letting you know, Meadows has to be reconstructed. You can't, there's nothing, there's no coating or putting on that. Meadows, because it only has a short section of asphalt left, because we just did the new concrete section going to.
Oh, nice. Oh, so
So you got two
we
options.
just saved money.
You got two options. We can
Concrete.
redo that, or we can
leave it?
just
It's not a,
take
it's
it out
not a
and put
big.
concrete
yeah,
on.
It's not a big,
Oh, awesome.
It's only 20 feet.
Right.
Oh, bonus. I didn't know that.
that's right, they took everything out, yeah, so.
Okay, well then take that one off. I guess, just to get a price, we can then add Harrington in. So maybe if there's a nice day, but just so we have a price, right?
Well, I mean, if you want, we can
Already
get you
getting-
prices on every single park if you
Okay.
want.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Let's
true.
work-
let's do
Perfect.
that.
Make it easier and say, this park needs this done,
Yep.
it's this park needs this done, it's
That'd be
this.
fabulous.
Perfect,
Thank you. Solve our problems for us.
Thank you, Mark.
I like it.
So on a related note, there's about $277,000 allocated for parks. 145 for Blanky, 92 for Rindell, 40 for Somerset.
Is this on the page?
Yeah, it's also page 12
Okay.
of the budget packet. So 145 for Blanky, I'm just kind of wondering where that came from. Similar to your comment earlier, Amy, like, the last I heard about Blanky, the plan was, and the Recreation, or Commission had, when they were talking about parks too, right before they came to just recreation, the recommendation was to maybe put some new plants, trees in there, but keep the playground equipment out because it wasn't easily accessible to the community. There's not really any parking there, and it's more of like one that's used by the residents in that neighborhood. So like putting, it says here, adult exercise equipment and swings. I'm just thinking $145,000 for Blanky when Fort Fraser is falling apart, like, that just seems like a lot of money. And similarly for 92 for Rindell, like, if we're gonna pay 145 for Blanky, there's nothing at Rindell. Why wouldn't, like, where did these decisions come from? And for Rindell and Somerset, it doesn't say specifically, I don't see anywhere what it's for.
So for Blanky, that is adult, these aren't kid swings, these are adult swings. They're like porch swings, they're size of a couch, basically. So there's the swings, the adult swings, and then throughout the park would have, like, the whole path would have different pieces of exercise equipment for adults or seniors throughout the whole park. So there's no playground equipment. It's kept as a adult park, if you will. With Somerset and Rendell, the price is to remove the tall structure that's been in question and move that to Rendell, border it, and put the wood chips in, and then replace that section of playground equipment with something that's much lower to the ground, which is maybe 4 feet off the ground.
Oh, maybe I missed some emails, but did not know that that was.
Yeah,
the
I didn't
plan,
know that was the
and
plan
that-
either.
No clue. And I've been
Oh, wait, we
asking
can do
at
that for
every,
40 grand?
every council.
What's that?
meeting.
I'm sorry, we can
Move the tower.
remove that and replace with a new piece of equipment for 40,000?
No.
No.
No, they're saying 90,000 out of the Rindell and 40,000.
But here's the only thing about the Rindell.
130 to move it? Is that what we're saying?
That's what it was. We got
Yeah.
that
Move it and
bid. It was
replace it?
crazy.
So the prices you have in front of you for each park, for the Somerset and Rendell, is we're all familiar with the big tower, right? That has been the problem. Remove that, reinstall it in Rendell Park, border it, and fill it with the environmental wood chips, and then put a new play structure in its spot at Somerset that is basically big, huge monkey bar system that's maybe 4 feet off the ground.
I mean, I remember voting over a year ago or recommending that I supported moving that structure to Rindell. But ever since then, there has not been any confirmed conversation of that. So like, we had pictures taken within Somerset sent to us about what it would look like to move that structure within Somerset Park. So where did this come from?
But this is just a recommendation.
It's a recommendation
That's
from,
what, but I mean, where though? Like,
Well, that.
where, it came from me.
okay, so
This is my
that's-
recommendation because this is
We
my
got
department
announced it was
budget.
Like 130,000 to
Right.
move it.
Or were you talking about moving it where the
Volleyball court was.
so it's closer to
Right,
the front, but still matches with everything else?
Right, and after we went over there with the drone, it's, you're gonna have the same issue with it wherever you move it. If it stays in that park, you're gonna have the same issue. So it doesn't matter where you move it. If it stays in that park, you're gonna have the same issue.
I'm not going to agree with you on that. But really quickly on that, I just want to point out to everybody, Rindell, it is a passive park in the sense of the part that's the city's, but there is a playground, a beautiful playground there for the school, so kids play there.
Solution. It's just.
No,
a
I know,
recommendation.
but
I'm
honestly,
Spending 130,000.
yeah, honestly,
I mean,
no,
can you just cut off the tower?
almost $1,000 for
here's the thing on that.
That's what I said.
If you just move it in the park, it's going to be fine because, yes, the whole thing is where it is right now looks directly in their backyard, and why are those plastic? I thought we paid for metal because they've already broke those things.
Because the metal, they could not get them to us because of the
Supply chain is.
supply chain
Okay,
issues.
but are they still on order?
Right, as of right now, they cannot tell us when they can even get them.
Right, but I'm saying at least if we know that eventually they'll be the plastic will be replaced. That was my point. But I just think you should just move it there. I mean, there's trees that cover there's a walking path and everything that covers between the houses and people, and there's trees. So that it's not going to be evasive looking right in someone's backyard. It's not going to be in someone's face. If kids are cussing and swearing, which they tend to do until somebody yells at them, then they're far removed away from the houses where it's more people at Masonic walking by are going to hear it.
They might be yelling at people walking by on the sidewalk, but
Yeah.
if it's up where that volleyball court was, I think that would be the
would solve the
cheapest,
issue.
easiest solution.
Did we ever get confirmation that how much it would cost for them to do it and maintain the warranty on that? That's because we did not vote in favor of moving it to Rindell because of the price. And I thought what we left was, we were gonna get a quote to see if we moved it within the park, if the warranty would be maintained.
It wasn't, the warranty part was about putting those metal plates on.
No,
No, there was additional warranty.
because.
Was there?
Yeah, because once you move and add and modify, we risk negating the warranty, which is why you got approval to put the panels on, and that wasn't gonna negate the warranty. So I thought what we wanted was, how much will it cost for them to come out and move it within the park? Set aside the logistics of it, whether it's ideal or not, whether it can be done or not, trees can be cut, things can be moved. What will it cost so
The other
that
question
then we
I
can,
think was, would it void the warranty if DPW moved
Right.
it and not the company that installed it itself?
I think the
You
company,
do not want that.
nope.
I'm just saying, that was the other question.
Yeah, no, you
That's the
do,
answer.
you do not want that. Because then you shift the liability onto the city as
That's why
opposed
we were
to,
asking those
right.
questions, and I don't.
no, and that's fair, but.
right?
Why you hire-
But, I mean, at the end of the day, I work for you 7 people. Whatever the majority of you vote on, that's what I'm gonna do. It doesn't matter to me. However, you send me out, you ask for my professional opinion, and we go out with the engineer and we fly a drone over there so that we're at the same height. And I'm telling you, as your DPW director, you're gonna have the same issues with it wherever you move it in that park. Now, if you want to move it there, we'll certainly move it there. I can get the quotes, however you guys want to do it. But I'm letting you know ahead of time, it's not going to solve the problem as long as that structure is in that park, because we had a drone flying over the same height all the way around the park. And we're sitting there watching, and you can see at that height, you can see right into people's backyard, in the swimming pool, everything. So, but we'll move it wherever you want.
Yeah, I think part of the issue probably is solving the problem. The problem is undefined, because is it the visual, is it the kids, is it the combination?
It's the inappropriate mouths that the youth these days have and their inappropriate behavior.
Well, that,
And if
I
it's
mean-
removed over here, I mean, that is 150 yards away from the fence.
But we can't do anything until we know if we can be done and what the cost is, right? I mean, that's the starting point. So
And when you
if
buy a
find that
house by
out-
a park,
Yeah,
and know
this
you're
is
gonna have
absolutely.
kids at 6 months out of the year being loud and obnoxious, theirs was just that they were literally in their yard.
So to be clear, the directive I'm being given is to get a quote on moving it within the park where the volleyball pit is, correct?
Yep.
We all on the same page
Also,
with
those
that?
drone pictures were taken when there was no leaves on the trees too, correct?
There's no trees there for it to be blocked. All you have is the arborvitae.
Yeah, for the volleyball.
No, you
There's a
have
ton of
trees.
trees in
Okay, it's okay, it's okay. Let's just get
Anyway,
what we
yes,
need.
please.
Information is
Direct
power.
to do that, see what it would cost,
Yeah.
and then we.
And if if they'll maintain the warranty.
Because I mean, but.
Because if they won't, then that's a different issue. And then if we vote, whatever 4 or 5 people vote to do with it is,
And again, what I put in the budget for that's just a recommendation. It doesn't matter to me if you guys
well, it's nice because it frees
86
up
it or
money.
not. I mean,
do other
I was
things.
coming to you with a plan.
Oh, yeah,
on,
absolutely.
We just want to be on the same page. That's-
Yes, and
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to talk as a collective whole.
Right.
Because it hasn't been on the agenda. So it's nice to be able to, so that it's going to be a lot easier when you come back. Because we're going to be like, yeah.
And I mean, I think just to pay, like, it
Okay,
matters
so-
to me.
Well, I didn't want to
Because
put
it matters
anything
to
on the
me.
agenda
No,
until
not you.
we ran it. I was going to say until we ran it by the.
It's not a criticism.
budget.
It wasn't about
Not
you.
about you,
It was
it's
about
about
us.
us.
Got everybody talking, so you've got direction, right? Please do that, and we'll move on. It's,
Yep.
okay?
Oh, I had
One more thing.
Oh, Go ahead.
So, just so I'm clear on that, you don't want anything in Blanky Park and you do not want anything in
Sorry
Rendell?
about that. That,
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
This is budgeted, we haven't decided what,
Okay.
what we're gonna do.
That's part of planning. This isn't planning, this is just the budget, and we'll
Yeah.
go.
Then decide if we use it, we use it. If we don't, we don't.
But one other question that I actually had spoken to Mark about right before the meeting, and I had a chance, I had an epiphany as I was walking in the parks. Another thing I'd like to see done in the next year, and also part of the park improvement plan, the wood chips.
Yep, I was going to bring that up.
So that if we got on the same type of cycle, not every year, you know, some people do their park every year, some do it every 5 years, some do it, whatever. But if we got a quote for how much to do the parks that are redone, that need it, so that then we could have put that in, either put it in our $100,000 or allocate additional funds if we know that, you know, move money around, right? So if we're not gonna put 100 grand in Rydell, we can put it. But I'd like to see that, so that this summer, we know our paths are getting attention, our playground equipment is getting that little fresh, and I'm assuming we would all be in agreement with that. But that was gonna be my other directive, if you guys are all good. I know you got a lot, but.
I actually had that on my list of things to ask for.
And were those plastic things, were they taken off?
One's broken.
Okay.
I don't know if
So
it,
is
there's
that
one
a
that's
safety
broke.
issue? Should we-
No, it's not a safety. It looks like, it should be replaced. It looks poor, but, because some kid basically sat there and just kicked his foot through, so it broke like on an angle, but it's still attached, but it's like broke at the top.
It's not a big deal for us to
Right,
replace
right.
it.
I know. I'm just like, I mean, it's
We
not
just have to go to
dangerous.
Madison Heights. There's a company that makes that and
Yeah, it's just
don't
a
have any
fact that it's
metal there?
not dangerous.
They don't have any metal there at that company to?
no.
Yeah, because it's just to get the kids not to crawl on the outside, and they still can't crawl on the outside because it's still
Yeah.
attached. It's just a corner's
I just
broken.
know me or my kids, we'd be the first ones to cut our hands on some broken plastic, so.
So if you could add that
Well, it's
to
on the
your
outside,
list.
and if they're reaching their hands up there, they.
You could add that to
deserve
your
it.
list, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we
Oh, I know
we
they
went
would,
over
but
there
they
and
deserve
took
it.
down the
Not that,
broken
the
pieces though, and
wood
the zip
chips.
ties where nobody.
How often should the wood chips be replaced? Would you say every 3 years on a regular basis? You know, how long?
Yeah, I probably every other.
Okay.
Every other.
Because I mean, you're not going to replace the whole thing. You're just
Right,
freshen
right.
them up. You know, give them because they rot. You know, and
They rot, they
and
sink, they-
sink.
We like to call that decomposing.
Okay.
I like
But-
that. So then we can be mindful, so that we don't neglect our parks for 20 years, and we don't put our efforts, we share
And then we
it.
don't have a huge amount to put out every, yeah.
Putting bark and.
You need to have a
in the
maintenance
paths are gonna
program.
be huge.
Okay, now you got 2 directives.
Sorry.
Okay, now we'll go on.
So probably one thing to consider for working towards our next meeting for budget approval is maybe what you might want to do is get rid of the notes, not have this as defined, and really determine maybe just an amount based on some of the feedback that we've received tonight, or how much you want to budget for repairs and maintenance, and how much you want to budget for capital outlay. And then at a later point in time, we can figure out, okay, we have this much money.
Right.
Give me a list of all these ideas, what their estimates are, and we can prioritize what we want to do.
I mean, we have the 5-year
Right.
plan for that, too.
So that is,
And that's part of the exercise equipment in Blanky Park. I
the
think is
5-year,
actually in the
yeah.
master-
so to finish my questions on the park, finally,
Sorry.
is that premise is exactly what I wanted to do for Rindell Park. I mean, there's so much to do there, we don't know what we want to do, there's ideas, but the park's a mess. You know, the fences are all falling down, the barbecues are half flipped over, I mean, it's just, so I would like to see some money just put in the budget, not knowing what we're gonna do yet, but put some money aside for that park. That's supposed to be the park of the city of Fraser, and,
Rindell?
Rindell?
no.
You said Rindell.
You said Rindell.
Literally,
You got
that's
us
why
all
we're all like-
confused. We're all going, what?
We're talking Stephens.
Stephens.
Got it. I'm like, there's never
You guys said
2,000.
Rindell too many times, that's all.
I'm literally like, okay, Stephens. You'd like to
yeah.
Thank you.
reallocate and dedicate to
Right,
Stephens.
and if
Yeah,
we
I
don't
agree.
use it, we
I
don't
think we
use
all
it.
agree with
But
that.
Yeah.
at least be proactive and say, okay, we got something, we can tear all those fences down and make it easy landscape and I mean, clean it up, whatever it takes, but
Yeah,
designate
absolutely.
some money for it in the budget, no plans, but, you
So a
know,
little bit harder numbers,
Start
so we know
working
how much
towards
money.
revamping that.
right, so if you say $100,000, just put it in that account, in the budget.
Hopefully it's just a couple
Honestly, I would
calls.
think that would be money better spent than at Blanky Park.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that to.
No,
plan,
I
it's
know,
just
you're
part of
not saying that.
budgeting.
All
It's just
I'm
part of
saying
budgeting.
is
You can
I
do the
would
same
s-
for Blanky Park.
Yeah, but I.
Okay,
Blanky-
stop, we're not doing it
We'll
today.
talk
Keep
about
going.
Jeez, it's just, you
Going.
know, we could go on ever for parks, I mean, you know that, it's just,
This is not set in stone.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
Budget can be
Unrelated
changed
parks.
every single meeting if you
That,
want.
that was my two things on the parks, and I will.
What was that dollar amount? 100,000, you said? 100,000, okay.
Question unrelated to parks. So,
Your light's not on.
I had it on earlier for so long that
ahead.
it got
Just
hot.
go ahead.
It burned out.
It did, it burned out.
This is supposed to be free-flowing, that's what we decided last
Yeah.
time.
He's just giving me a hard
You're
time.
actually doing a
I
lot.
like
We're
giving
almost
him a
done.
hard time back, yeah.
With you.
go ahead.
Conferences and professional development, very important, right? A lot of things that are learned there. The conference total that I added up for all departments was 12,300. I don't know if I got that right or not. But then for DPW alone, for conferences and professional development, it's 17,000 for the year. And it looks like it's really fluctuated over the past few years of like 900, 3,000, 7,000. So I was just kind of wondering, is that part of obtaining or retaining certifications? Like what is that for? It's a lot.
It's not only for the superintendent.
Right, no, I'm just saying, like,
DPW,
in
but for
general.
everyone in the department. I don't know if you want to.
Sure. For as the professional development, I've had to start from scratch. Prior to me getting here, these guys didn't have any training. So we were in non-compliance in every area that you can think of. So I've had to put together an extensive spreadsheet of what classes that are needed, how often they have to be renewed, and based on that is my budget number. We have to do annual training. We have some training that's due every other year, some training that's due every 5 years. So I've put together an extensive training schedule, and I'm happy to say we're in compliance with everything right now. So, so that's why it fluctuates. It also fluctuates with amount of employees that you have, right? So we've had quite a bit of, I wouldn't say turnover, but we've had a lot of attrition. So, you know, so when a new employee comes in, they have nothing. So you're from ground zero, so you gotta get them caught up to speed. So that's where that portion comes from, and the the conference portion comes from me. There's 3 conferences that I attend every year, and that was a condition in my employment when I started here, is I'm very involved in the APWA. I was the president, now I'm past president, but I was just the president last year of the Downriver chapter, so.
So that 7,000 is for 3 conferences?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. But the rest, you're going to have professional development.
Yeah, I see the professional development.
Well, you're going to have it in water, and you're also going to have it in DPW as well. So if the classes are water related, for instance, this month I'll be sending quite a few employees over to the city of Roseville because they're going to be training there in competent person training. And that is where somebody is able to be out on the job site during a water main break, let's say, and they're able to call the shots on the dig based on the conditions of the environment and the hole and whatnot. So it very, very important.
Yeah, professional development, yeah, I agree. It's just because the conferences really stuck out because it is so much higher than any of the other areas that might have $1,000 or $500 for conferences, and this is 7,000. So I was just curious, what they were for.
So-
It was part of a condition of your employment. I mean, that was before my time here, so I don't know what that looks like if you guys.
So one of them is MAPSI, Midwest Advanced Public Service Institute. In order to be able to go to MAPSI, you have to be a graduate of MPSI, which is Michigan Public Service Institute. So I'm a 3-year grad of Michigan Public Service Institute, and I've been for the last 7 years in a row to MAPSI. So that's one. The other is the state chapter conference for the APWA, and that's coming up in 2 weeks. That's in Traverse City every year. And then the third one is PWX, which is Public Works Expo. That's the APWA National Conference, and it changes every year where it goes. And every year I go, I always bring back at least 3 or 4 really good things to the city because everything is on the cutting edge at this expo for the whole United States. So it's probably one of the most beneficial things for a city that I can actually attend.
Yeah, they're definitely beneficial, and I've attended several conferences with my employer, but I was just curious as to, because the number is so much more, is it just you going? Is it something where you could go, and if there were 2 or 3 people going, you could come back and train the others? Just looking to see, because it is such a significantly higher number, if there was any opportunity there.
That's the breakdown of,
Thank you.
yep.
Councilman Odell.
Since we have you up here, so your budget reflects how many employees working for you?
So I have, currently, I have 11 full-time employees. That's 10 DPW workers and Hunter.
Okay.
Myself and a supervisor. And then there's 2 part-time DPW employees. There is 2 part-time, Kelly, you have Kelly, and then you have Donna that are part-time here.
In addition to the 2?
Yes, and so,
So how many total full-time? Just, I
full-time.
got lost with the,
Are we including salary employees or just hourly?
well, whatever's in your budget for your,
So, full-time, if you're including salary, that would be 11, let's see, 11, 12, 13 plus 2 2 new ones that we were requesting.
okay. So 15 total for your department, basically, okay. All right, I was just curious what that looked like. So we're budgeted for 15, or that's what we're basing these numbers off from, and you're still looking for 2 more, did I hear?
No. That's 13, looking for 2 more.
Okay, so you got 13 now.
Right.
But our budget reflects 15.
Right.
Is what, to run optimal and all that. Okay.
And the reason for the request for.
When is the request? Is that next week? Did we already have that?
I think we already did
Have
that.
that.
Oh, did I miss it?
I just want to know
Might
what
be the
that,
meeting I
what that
missed.
number.
It must have been the meeting I missed.
The reason for that is, we are losing 2 to 3 of our employees now, 6 months out of the year,
Got it.
to cut grass because we can't get part-timers in.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. We don't, and what are we paying on part-timers for grass?
$15 an hour.
Okay.
And
And that's, are we?
Can we
are
raise it?
We have.
Do you think if we raised it to 17, it would work?
Roseville's paying like.
Roseville's paid 18 to 20 right now.
But is
Right.
it, are we, our hands tied because of union contracts, what we pay our part-timers, or no?
No.
So we could raise it.
Not for DPW. One of the issues that Mark has talked about is the fact that these people that he has working part-time are not just mowing lawns. And he gets in a position where he needs skilled workers that are gonna stay. So you're spending all this time teaching people things, in particular for the position that he wants for the building maintenance person. This is someone that's going to be doing all this building maintenance that we have not only over at the Senior Activity Center that's taking 2 full-time people away from being able to do repairs to the parks and things like that. They're over at the Senior Activity Center. We're contracting things out that if we had an employee, it would save us costs, and it would also be someone that would be doing building maintenance for all the rest of the buildings. So think about the money that we paid for fixing these buildings this year at Steffens, doing like some of the repairs for the boards, fixing some of the bathroom stuff, doing the painting. This is what that full-time person would be doing.
But if we increase the amount we're paying part-timers for that 6 months out of the year that you said that you have staff just cutting grass, is that going to solve any of the problem? Because then you're gonna get part-timers who are gonna stay because we'll be more competitive, and then maybe they can do maintenance, meaning grass, painting, knocking down an upside-down barbecue. I mean,
I'm with you.
I mean, honestly.
100%.
So,
Will it help if we increase the part-timers' hourly rate?
possibly, but it's not gonna help with the building maintenance.
That's a
issue.
separate issue. That's,
Well, I mean,
short-term, if we,
Does it free enough time up to
right
help
now,
them?
During the summer, right? That's like the most urgent.
like
Or-
right now, if we made a motion to increase the salary to at least be competitive with Roseville, is it gonna hurt? Is there anything precluding us from doing that?
no, and it's not going to hurt. I just don't know if it will solve the issue, but it's certainly better than what we got. I mean, because you can't expect somebody to come here and work 29 hours a week for $15 an hour when they can go to White Castle for
I
17.
mean, do you have a lot of turnover with these temporary seasonal employees too?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's gonna help with that.
No, I
Turnover's
mean,
one of the
there's
highest
a
in the
huge
country.
turnover.
Because you don't have any.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we don't have any right now, but yes, because we lost
Trying to help you.
What
lost
is Roseville
6.
paying?
We lost 6 employees.
18 to 20.
18 to 20.
Make a motion. Can we do that, right? Can we do that during this meeting?
today?
Come on, listen.
You're not
Don, be
supposed to,
cool.
but
We can't do that today, no.
We have a meeting next week.
So next week.
So,
So we'll be.
can we add that to
Tell
the
your friends that
agenda?
it might
Well, we can just do it ourselves.
Yeah, we can do it ourselves. We don't have
Next
to-
week, we can try to help at least short-term, get you some summer help at up to $20 an hour. Or what, we'll have to pick on the number, but.
Give me a mower.
I'm
Question,
kind of thinking the same thing.
Question.
Suntan.
while we're discussing this,
Yeah.
the couple part-time employees I have now,
Increase.
they.
Yeah, they
you
would be
know-
bumped up.
Okay, all right, I just
Want 'em
gonna.
to stay.
just-
Oh, no, are you kidding me?
yeah,
That's
you
a
want them to
lawsuit
stay,
all day
right?
long.
Okay.
I'd say let's do it to, I mean, I'm not gonna be here next week, but I'd say $20. It's a nice.
comfortable with 20? Okay.
20, it's a nice number.
Yep.
It sounds better
It's
than,
enticing.
yeah. And it's temporary, right? We're
Right.
not paying benefits.
Yep.
We're not paying
like it.
all the other costs.
You said it's 29 hours a week?
Correct.
I like it. Good.
anything else from Mr.
Now, you can also work, like for cutting grass, they can work 40 hours a week if they're seasonal, but you have to have a start date and an end date.
Ah, okay, perfect.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I could use a combination of both, actually, right? But yes, if you're seasonal, say you're a college kid,
Yep.
right? You can work 40 hours a week.
Perfect.
But you have to have a start date and end date, and it can't be more than 1,000 hours the
Got it.
whole year.
And you better keep track of that.
Spreadsheet.
Well, that's not bad, $20,000 in the summer.
Sheesh.
No, that's, I mean,
Good, I'll tell some people that I know
Grass
said
is
they're
about to
looking
look
for a
lit.
job. I'll send them to you,
the outside,
right? Part-time job.
chopped at the head.
Oh, we were moving, if we were moving on to more things. Are we
Yeah,
done?
are you done with it? Is everyone done with Mr. Ragsdale?
Y'all done?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Say that again now?
Yep.
Done with Ms.
Done-
Ragsdale?
Well, no, just done with it, so.
Mr. Ragsdale, yes.
For the evening or just for,
We still have roads, water,
Yeah,
sewer.
just for,
Any
done,
questions
done?
about any of that?
Just for that.
sorry, we'll try to get,
Well, why don't we take care of him?
yeah, why
Why are we
Scott's
not
sitting
doing
up here.
Stuff like that.
Let's go. Unless you need a break from us, Mark.
no, I'm good, I'm good.
Hey, what are flock cameras?
That's
Probably not you. Okay, that's you. All right. I'll wait to ask.
So Elaine, this budget that you did assumes 2 mills, correct?
For PA 33?
I'm sorry, yeah, for
PA
PA 33?
Yes.
Okay, and this was just my general question while we're transitioning over. And this is a budget with 2 mills, assumes all of the capital projects are completed, and would result in a fund balance of $8 million
For general
Roughly.
fund.
in the
roughly.
general fund. Right. Would any of the other funds? Yeah, no, that's all I care about, general fund. Okay, all right. So if we were to decrease PA 33 further, we could shift money and not have $8 million fund balance. And also lower the taxes further for the residents, who would then hopefully be even more inclined to support the road bond when it comes for a vote. Because what did the accountants say is the best recommendation? I know we've been given a couple different numbers from John Walters and Tim, anywhere from 25 to 45%, is that?
I thought it was 25.
Yeah, I think 45 is pretty
Yeah.
conservative, right? For the-
So
Four-
I
four
thought it was
months
25 to
of these.
27.
4 months of the city's budget.
So that'd be 25%. Would you agree with that?
I'd say 4 to 6.
Say that again?
I'd say 4 to 6. So
Yeah,
25
that's
to
25 to
50%.
27, yeah.
Okay. Okay, those are the only general questions I had.
Well, you need that number tonight, right, for
No,
next
no,
week?
we have,
Next week.
no, next week we just decide it.
We
can
can
decide
decide
on it.
now, and it'd be nice to get your buy-in, even though you won't be here. but-
I won't be here, but as much as I hate taxes, like I said last year, I think 2's the right amount. We've got $500,000 a year that we're looking at for the special assess, so that's gonna draw down that fund balance.
Oh, right, that's not in here, right? The
500.
$500,000 that we said was gonna go to the,
Special assessment district,
okay.
so.
So we have to draw that down.
We could draw
That's
that
that's a mill basically right
We
there.
just
I
do
know
the
that's.
contract, so that helps.
And we
level
just
off
had the
contract.
raises.
Well, that's in here, that's
know.
already built in,
Right,
all of that's
no,
in
but
there.
that actually helps keep it,
I'm not prepared to go down anymore right now. It's not something I would never look at again. I would like to keep it consistent because over the last 3 years, we have been we built it up, we're drawing it back down, and I'm afraid we're going to draw it back down and then we're going to have to raise taxes again.
But are you okay with not increasing it above the 2 that's added?
No, I would like to keep it at 2 for me personally. I think it's just for budgeting purposes. It's steady. I feel if we get we got a nice, healthy fund balance, but we got a lot of work to do with the cities, a lot of roads, we don't know if the bond's gonna pass or not, so we might have to use some of that money for roads if it doesn't pass.
And we have Garfield coming up that we're going to have to put in our pound of flesh for.
That's out of the roads. Don't
I know, but
general
we're-
fund for that.
I know,
Got it.
but we don't have all of it for that yet.
As much as I would like to, I think we should keep it
I hear you.
status quo, and also, the state's gonna be issuing some sort of pension funds, right? If I recall, I can't remember the,
Yep, there's a grant that'll be on the next agenda that we're working
but
on.
we don't know what that dollar amount is yet, so we might
Well,
have,
it's only gonna get us to 60% funded for just the pension,
Okay.
not the OPEB. I think initial estimates look like that's gonna be about 2 million,
okay,
That we're gonna get?
if we get the grant, yeah.
okay. So that's nice, and then we still don't know what our, LCSA funds are gonna be for the year as well, correct? So we got funds coming in from that, but we just don't know that number yet?
LCSA,
What's the acronym? I jotted it down, I forgot. For the elimination of the personal property taxes,
Oh.
where the state's given us extra funds kind of make up for phasing that out.
We don't have any specific numbers on that.
Oh, we're expecting something, we
I
just
think
don't.
I have 800,000 in the budget for that.
Okay, so that's what we're estimating. It could be more, it could be less. We just don't know yet at this point, but, okay.
Well, then Elaine, you brought up
Always
the,
subject to change.
you brought up the medical that we may have to take out of the fund balance. That, how much do you think that, where are we at with that right now?
So I think we're looking at probably about a couple 100,000.
In a lump sum payment?
So looking at our self-insurance fund, that's 677. So far with the activity right now, we are 50,000 short. And then last year's activity actually put us in the hole 100,000. And then the projection for this budget is another 178, but
Wow.
I don't necessarily know that we're going to do that, because if we change from self-funded to a different structure for the insurance, we won't see that number. So having to do a budget amendment at the end of this fiscal year and get this balanced out and figure out where we're going forward, it's kind of a big question mark with all of that right now. But, I mean, looking at it, I would not anticipate more than
200.
100,000.
Just so that the residents aren't freaking out, or the employees, switching from self-funded to purchasing, it's not going to change the level of benefits that they're going to get.
Correct. It's just who pays the bill. Is it us paying the bills directly to Blue Cross Blue Shield, or
So
is
there
it
would
us
be
just
no
paying
more-
a preset amount to Blue Cross Blue Shield?
So there'd be no more of this HSA lump sum where then the employee has to write the checks to the providers? Is that, or would we still do that?
Everything would still be the same on their end.
Oh, okay.
It's just our end, from an accounting perspective, right now, we pay Blue Cross Blue Shield as the bills come in.
Got it.
So we get like a weekly bill from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we have to pay our share. The pay structure would be very different, and it would be less subject to ebbs and flows if we did a system whereby we just paid them a flat fee per person.
Okay.
So like, say, everybody averages out to like 20,000 a year, we'd just pay that amount.
So it's just good for
Instead of we
budgeting
pay up to-
purposes.
It's like budget-wise.
Yeah. And is it because we have too many claims now, too many
We've had
employees? or
quite a few significant claims. Yeah,
That's not good.
Health insurance claims.
right. So a
Let's
lot of
make it
people-
clear so that we're
A
talking.
lot of people and/or their family going in, having, some type of high-end work. Think someone having a heart attack or cancer treatment or something like that, very costly.
We're glad you're here, though.
So something like that would
Got it.
make this self-insurance.
Okay.
The costs go up.
And that's,
We really
our
don't.
employees are worth it.
I mean, it's one of those things where you really just never know. And that's one of the gambles with the self-insurance fund is, am I going to be better off with whatever Blue Cross wants me to just pay based on what they know about people? Or am I going to be better off just paying as we go and gambling?
It's a
Mr.
crapshoot.
Mayor, not to cut you off, but just because you reminded me, this budget doesn't have any lump sum payments into OPEB or the pensions like we have done in the past, correct?
Correct, because what we're waiting for is our actuarial for our audit from last year. So I have got them on a rush trying to get that done, because one of the things that we need is the actuarial and the audit done so we can get the pension grant.
Got it, but then we
Our goal
could,
was to always put 200.
no, correct, that's what I was saying, because then we could also take from the fund balance and
Yes.
put a chunk to continue our dedication to reduce our debt. Perfect, okay.
I got a quick question since we're right on that topic. So the activity for, on page 9 there for the OPEB retiree healthcare, it's been like 1.2, 1.4, but in our amended budget, it's 2.9 million? Near the bottom, 101-961-724, the retiree healthcare for OPEB. So, and then next year, it's 1.3, so why, I don't remember voting on 2.9 for OPEB. I thought we put in a couple extra 100,000.
I'm not sure where you're looking at.
Page 9, at the bottom for the amended,
Page 9, because we've got
Yeah, I was gonna say, because my page line
Packet,
doesn't
or
have
we've
that.
got the
On the
page number
spreadsheet,
of
like,
BSNA.
The budget itself,
on the budget
Is it
page.
this page?
9
page
of 27?
9 of 27.
no.
Okay, right there, at the bottom, right, third from the right, you see the 2 point,
Retiree healthcare.
yep,
OPEB.
it's, activity so far this year,
Four from the bottom.
714.
Four from the bottom.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
The bottom, yeah.
So in the past, in like 20, it was 1.2. I think we paid extra last year, so it was 1.4. So far, it's about 715 year to date, but we're estimating it to be 2.9, and then it goes back to 1.3. So I'm just curious where that 2.9, how'd that
That was
number?
part of a budget amendment that Sarah had put forth and was approved.
For $2.9 million? For
No, well, it'd be for 2.9 minus 714. Because it's not in addition, but yeah, it's a million.
So I don't recall voting almost $3 million for OPEB.
Me neither.
Me either.
And then we're
Are we
going,
all suffering from CRS?
so,
I'll look into the history of it and.
Yeah.
And I'll.
yeah, I mean,
If we do it,
that's,
great. If we did it and we still have that money, that's amazing, but I don't.
because we could add it towards next year.
I know we didn't spend a million.
No.
So, because I mean, normally it's around the 1.3,
Yeah.
1.4 million. You know, if we throw a couple extra 100,000 at it to pay it down, but 2.9 is, that really stuck out to me like a sore.
Amazing if we did it.
Because otherwise, I mean, if it's if it's closer to like 1.5, that's a lot more money in our general fund than we think we have.
Right.
But if not, we need to know what came up with that number. I know there was some, vaguely remember some accounting differences or something like that, but I don't know why that would be in the budget at that amount. So if we could get some clarity on that, because that's a big, big number.
Okay. Water and sewer.
Or what do you want to do next?
Might as well.
Roads is probably.
Roads?
Roads, yeah, that way.
Road.
So we've got Major Street first. Really, the big thing with Major Street is that we're gonna be spending for Kelly, Garfield, and that Masonic Kelly intersection, doing a share of that cost. This year, we're really gonna be heavy on the Major Street versus the local street. We are allowed to transfer up to 50% of the money that we get from the state from major to local. We've got a recommendation in there for transferring just 25%. And then also, Mark has in here, between the major street and the local street, purchasing salters for the dump trucks. It's a idea that he talked to me about, which I thought was a great idea, because I know that we've had a lot of problems with the dump trucks that we have for salting, where you're constantly rising them and trying to get stuff to settle. He'd like to get the inserts that are the V-type feed that are a much better and efficient system.
And those don't dump in
Big clumps.
big clumps, yeah.
Yep, it'll save money on salt.
Oh, you mean if we actually get snow?
And it
Hey, don't
disperses-
jinx it.
It
I bought a
disperses the
snowblower, I don't
salt
have to
from
worry
the
about
center of the truck too, instead of the side.
Yeah.
So you don't have that salt that goes flying up into people's yards and killing the grass and.
And really, that's kind of just the quick summary of major and local streets. Obviously, with conversations that we've had, the street committee working on putting together bond proposals for local streets and for the industrial park, that's something that we would have cash in and expenditures that would kind of match each other, so it wouldn't be an impact really on the budget bottom line numbers. It would be something certainly long-term.
And the 500 we were talking about a year, was that out of general fund or was that out of street fund we were talking about taking it from?
The 500 for what?
For the-
We didn't.
we didn't
he
spe-
Kept it,
specify.
yeah, he just
Kept
kept
it vague enough?
Vague
Okay.
purposely, yep. Does anyone have any questions about the road?
No, I think we're good.
Woo!
probably the next significant thing for him, I think, is sewer and water.
Yep. So we're gonna be doing that, when are we doing the,
Senior housing actually comes up next.
okay. And I'll ask about that. when she-
Are we fully rented over there?
No.
Not?
Really?
Wow. Why not?
We will be, but
You know, we have some vacancies that we're working on.
we constantly, lately it's been,
And that circles back to the building maintenance person to do the,
right. So I would say Kelly would be able to give you better information on that, but I would say at any given time, we probably have 5 vacant units that we're rotating.
that's,
I'm surprised.
God, we used to have a
It's not
waiting
for
list.
lack of people waiting to get in, though. It's,
No, we gotta.
Okay.
I mean, we'll probably have to cut the list off because I think she said there were 5 years out now, something like that.
I think more than that. I mean, we've got people on the list going back to 2017.
probably need to update.
And, I mean, I really feel
Yeah, we
like
talked
we
about
should
it. I get called
close
all
the
the time
list
about
because
it.
we have more than enough people to be able to go on the list right now.
But I think they keep them on the list, like they'll call and say, do you want it? No, not yet. And then they go down, which, if you don't take it, move on.
Sure.
You're off the list.
That's
Because
what we
that's not
talked
fair
about.
to those at the bottom of the list who have been waiting for 5 years while this person's
Yeah.
waiting.
A couple of them had to sell
think-
their house first before they decided.
I think the issue
I get
is
like a couple months.
everybody moved in at the same time and everybody's aging out at the same time, whether that is they pass away or they have to go on to another facility. But with everybody moving in at the same time, we're at that time period, I think, and I think that's why
Are
we're.
we able to turn them over pretty fast, though? I mean, to get.
No, because I don't have a maintenance person. I have to pony up 2 or 3 DPW guys to go over to do that. And we contract out what we can, right? But, I mean, we contract out the painting and we contract out the carpeting. But we still have to go in and we might have to change out the countertops or put in new appliances, or there may be drywall, mud work that has to be done and things of that nature. So, again, we used to have a part-time employee, but not anymore, and it's just not working.
How much are we charging in rent currently? Does anyone know?
That, I don't have that
It
information.
was 375.
I can tell
so it
you,
was like 5-something, I think, last.
375 would be
I thought it was
crazy.
no, it's not 375, it's about, I want to
Isn't it
say like
seven?
$600.
Yeah, when my dad was there, it was like $600.
Yeah, but I can tell you it's way, way low.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I mean, it's
Right, that's why I want
Oh,
to.
no, we know that.
absolutely,
20.
absolutely.
I don't always. Okay. So we just need to churn them and burn them to keep that cash flow going, right? I mean, we've got a healthy balance, but,
Have a lack of staff.
But, so we can put that revenue for that person under that,
Out of that fund, absolutely.
And the majority of it
would be under
in
that.
this, but because it'd also be somebody that would be
Yeah.
doing repairs and things.
Well, you just
to
divide
buildings.
it like you do with other.
Yep.
Yeah, divide the time like between water and sewer and DPW. Yeah.
That would then increase the rent revenue because there'd be less time they're out.
Bingo.
And then, so what's our fund balance at the end of the year in that account?
Right now, for the 1 bedrooms, it's $580 a month, the 2 bedroom is $660, and the carport is $20 per month.
it's gonna have a new parking lot and everything else.
Myself on that list.
Yeah, I've-
And we've got quite a few.
Gotta be 55, right?
Jim is.
And God knows he's having issues with these, so hey, put him
Got an
up.
elevator.
It says before that we had to look at that rent.
He'll be the youngster there.
What else, is there work that needs to be done there next year beyond what's already been budgeted?
So in this upcoming budget, we've got replacing some HVAC units, doing the window replacements. That's been an issue, is that there's been glazing on the windows, and it's really outlasted its life. And then also doing all the common spaces, hallways, elevators, carpet, and painting.
And that's all gonna be covered by what's in the.
Rent. Yeah.
That's outsourced, that's not DPW doing it, that's outsourced, okay.
And that would still then result in a net of the, whatever the number
We'd be
was.
spending some of the fund balance, about 760,000 this year.
I see.
We've been getting a lot of calls. We get just a ton of calls that we have to call out the HVAC guys for the HVAC units. So we've put together a capital improvement plan. There's 75 units.
Yep.
In 5 years, we'll have them all done. We're gonna replace 15 at a time, is the plan.
It's a good idea. That's how we should have like everything that we have in the city on some kind of rotation of maintenance, you know what I mean? Because that was the
Absolutely.
problem. I mean, that's like our sewers and our streets and everything else like that. Had that been started like when we started the city in the first place, this wouldn't be an issue because they would have it on a rotating thing and they would know how much to allocate every year. Sort of like our pension and OPEB.
So this fund has 2.2 million in cash at the end of next year after doing all that?
I'm saying if we pay somebody to.
Yeah,
those
what,
updated.
yeah, I'm at a loss for why we're,
I think I remember, Mark, you asking for somebody over there before, and we had voted.
so, but I didn't realize that it could,
Could come out of that balance.
and that they have such a
Yeah,
very
no, we
healthy
didn't know
fund
that.
balance. So next week, we can get that remedied as well.
I don't know how much would a guy like that cost somebody on site to constantly keep.
That works regular hours.
Yeah, not 5 AM to 8
Be
AM.
making what one of our DPW laborers make, start out at like $25.93 an hour. Or he or she, they.
The person, the individual.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work that is gonna need to be done to that building.
No, I
Absolutely.
get it. I just,
But it actually
That's
will
all
make
of
the
it.
city money if we have somebody there turning those apartments
yeah,
faster.
right, that's my
Yes.
So it pays for itself.
Yes.
So
We're losing money because,
no money to.
we're losing money because we don't have the staff to turn them over in time, and the rent is way too low.
The rent is really.
No, yeah, because the one bedrooms, the brand new ones are like $1,300.
Yeah.
They're not senior, but,
Utica Road, they're 13 to 1,600.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, but have the balconies and the carports and the
Oh, is that all? out of
asphalt,
that?
has
Right.
that, is that already been taken out of that amount
Balconies are done,
and paid for?
yeah, I believe we made the final payment on that.
Okay, perfect, okay.
I don't think that any of the payments for carports or anything have been done yet, because we haven't.
Can we
Okay,
approve it?
so that'll
We
be
did. They just-
subtracted.
So that's not in here.
That's not taken out of that then.
So it's going to be less.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
or the
okay,
parking
fair.
lot, because those are some,
But it's
those are
still
things
a
being done this
healthy
year,
fund
correct?
balance.
Yeah, it still wouldn't impact hiring someone to.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't it. I'm just saying it will lower that balance. But again, it's an enterprise fund, so it needs to have that. So right now, if we can be magnanimous, which we can, because now we're not putting money like we used to do. We used to have to fund the senior housing. We don't do that anymore, thank God, finally. And so now it'll be a standalone fund, and so we can have the money in there to do those constant repairs and
Yeah.
updates and stuff that, and yes, we can have somebody there full-time taking care of that. So it's something off your plate and gives you more man-hours where we need them in the city.
Or what if you looked for a local contractor that went in a contract the city, that every time you needed something redone, he's the guy who comes in and does the tile, the paint, the counter, everything?
That's what, yeah, then we have Mike Z come in for that, and that didn't work out real well.
No,
no,
one
no.
person, just a contractor.
A vendor.
Like somebody
Just
that.
the handyman,
property,
yeah.
They
Like
handles
somebody-
rental
somebody in
properties.
the
there's
city or
property
something.
management.
Good luck finding somebody right now,
Yeah.
because they're all,
That's,
Or you think they're not reliable enough to do?
oh, no, I think they're reliable. I think
Plus,
they're
if it's
all
gonna make
inundated.
Money by having those apartments turn faster, if
Yeah.
there aren't any to turn, right?
Right.
Then that would still be another person that, I mean, depending how, what's been in
don't
the
look, we
position
never
for a
know.
while, like,
so keep in mind, when we're referring to this full-time position, it's not just about flipping the units.
Yeah, it's doing
They gotta be maintained, right? People are calling, they blow our phones up, our garbage disposal stopped, the refrigerator doesn't work, I got no heat, no lights.
What I'm saying is if you got someone, they could handle that plus turning those.
Oh, yeah,
turning those-
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it makes sense to have a full-time person there dedicated.
He's got to have contractor stuff.
What's that?
He's gotta be able to do the work.
Well, yeah, you're hiring it's a specialized position. It's not a general laborer.
Right.
It's
So-
a building maintenance
Building maintenance,
technician.
right? They're
right?
gonna have to have extensive experience in.
Where'd
building
Bob
maintenance.
Logan go?
Ideally, you want to get somebody who's like managed an apartment complex, right? You know,
I've got a guy
maintenance.
for you, and I will give him your number. If that's what you want.
Evan, fill out an app.
His team's 100 units right now. Sterling Heights.
No, that's good to know. See? Look
Okay,
at these
well,
budget
we'll add
meetings are
that, can we
paying
add
off
that?
for you.
Are you putting in ads
So add that
We got
to,
that in the budget already.
for a full-time maintenance guy for the, oh, perfect,
we can approve it next week.
yeah.
You said it is or isn't it?
It is.
She already put it in the budget.
Yeah, I requested a full-time building maintenance and an additional labor.
Based on his recommendation.
Perfect.
and
With it
Well, there you go.
Together the budget, yep.
Can that person also walk across the street and do anything in the senior
Because I don't think
center
it's
when
allocated
needed?
out of
They
these
do.
funds. I think
We
it's out
do,
of-
we,
No, I'm
yeah,
just- I'm just saying,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
that- 'cause-
absolutely.
And they haven't paid for the cement or the asphalt.
You guys were literally supplementing.
That's why they would be entitled building maintenance.
I remember when you had to raise the rent in 2017.
By $25 and
By
all hell broke
$25.
loose, yeah.
Just to break
Build the
even.
place up.
This doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's best value in Fraser. So
What I'd like to do is get like a van set up or a truck with all the electrical, plumbing, painting, whatever the guy needs, and then wherever he's needed in the city, whether it's in a park or if it's City Hall, but the majority of the time he would be at senior housing, but he would still be there for the rest of
Right.
City Hall. I mean, the city buildings.
Anyone else have anything about the senior?
What else we got for you, Mark?
Water and sewer.
Is it your one?
All right, so for water and sewer, we're continuing the hydrant replacement program. He also has an excavator and trailer in there. This is something that's gonna be a lot more efficient because it has the capability of being able to spin instead of having to zigzag back and forth to do any type of the work for digging for the water main breaks. We've also got the water main replacement for Admiral Aaron, number of roads there. For sewer, we've got the continuation of the sewer rehabilitation project. That's the sewer lining that we're moving forward with. That's pretty much the highlight of water and sewer. Anything else you want to add, Mark?
No, I just have some pictures if you'd like to see, but this is gonna save us a lot of time and money. We get this piece of equipment, it'll take one less operator when there's a water main break in the street, because we won't,
What piece of?
you see this piece of machinery right here? This, we can sell this and eliminate that with the usage of this attachment. This is a breaker, this is what you bust concrete with. So the new excavator looks like this, and it has a quick coupler on the end of the bucket. And within 2 minutes, the guys can have this attachment on, bust the street, and then when they're done, this attachment goes on, and they can tamp the ground down. You know how sometimes, you know how we're having the issue with the lead service lines inspections where they're coming out and
Yeah, it's all sinking.
it's all sinking? It's because it's
Oh,
not.
you mean the one I sent you a picture where there was nothing underneath the sidewalk?
Exactly. This eliminates that. This is a compactor. Goes right on the end, boom, 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 boom. You know, so, the only downfall is we had to, and it's not a huge downfall, is we had to purchase a trailer because it's on tracks, and you can't just drive it all over the city, you gotta tow it. However, with it being an excavator, this thing spins in 360 direction. So guys are able to get in much tighter spots than they would with a backhoe. It's gonna save time with digging, which is man hours. And again, if, on a normal water main break, if we have say we have a break in the middle of the street, you have the operator out there on the backhoe, then another operator has to be called in and come in and drive this thing down the street and bust up the street, when an operator and 2 laborers can take care of it with one piece of machinery.
Another thing too, if I can recommend, is with the trailer, if you can use that trailer also for the Kubota, the snow thing, to see that thing drive from DBW all the way to Senior Center in the middle of the road, revved up high as it goes, it can't be very good on the engine and everything else, and it's not safe. Use that same trailer to truck that thing for the.
We certainly can, but it is perfectly okay to do that. It's a diesel engine in that Kubota. But if that's your
And I
preference,
just see it, steers when going down Utica Road and,
it's, we just got through using it, by the way, to take care of the parks, spraying for the weeds. We still got 2 major parks to go, but we've got our new guy that we hired from St. Clair Shores. He's all certified in applications. So it was a good pick.
Under buildings and grounds, we actually do have $5,000 for capital outlay for a trailer for the ATV.
Okay.
Yeah, it says ATV trailer. Right.
That would be much more appropriate than trying to put it.
Either way, yeah, I think it's better, it's gonna live there.
Because that way we could hook it up to a pickup truck. The trailer that's gonna be pulling this is going behind a dump truck. This is gonna be a pretty
Big one.
substantial trailer.
Yeah, we'll get longer life out of the ATV that way.
So the Masonic Detention Basin, then, that one, we're still working on too? That's,
So
We got
I've been on hold with that because I've been waiting from city council to find out the direction you're going with the engineering. You had me put out the RFP, and I've been waiting because as the DPW director, when I sit down with my engineering firm, I'm laying out my capital improvements. Well, I need to know, are we just sticking with AEW, or are we adding a second engineering firm? Because I have to have if we go with the second engineering firm, I have to have something to give them. And that's what I was going to give them to do if we hired a second engineering firm. So I haven't heard back from the city council on what they're doing, so I haven't been able to move forward with that until you guys make a determination on what's going on with the engineering RFP. So it's kind of holding me up on that.
Always best to assume status quo unless you hear otherwise.
Yeah.
It's how I operate in my business.
so,
Yeah, we've talked about it, so right now it's just status quo.
Okay.
We do talk about it a lot.
Mike and I will sit
I
down.
don't think we've had a full council between, I had to miss a meeting, she's missed a meeting, we've all missed, so.
I have never missed.
Well,
have also
bravo. I have had to miss, and I was happy to.
Good job.
I got a treat of a work conference.
In almost 8 years, I have never missed a meeting.
Okay,
He's got one more here, motor pool. So I don't know if any of you have
favorite subject.
opportunity to recently visit the DPW grounds or not. The parking lot is pretty deteriorated. The fuel pumps and their underground tanks are pretty deteriorated. They pretty much look like they're from the 70s.
They probably
So he's
are.
got the fuel tank and pumps in here, and I think he's also, I think the parking lot might be under buildings and grounds for DPW, so this is just the south part of their lot. One thing that I noticed when I've gone out and visited the site is that they're going through this lot and they're bringing in so much debris because the parking lot is in such a bad state that they're not able to keep the equipment nice and clean and maintained. So, you know, we have the new gates that are coming, so we'll be able to secure the yard, to be able to have at least a path of a partial parking lot to bring the equipment into the garage would certainly maintain the longevity and cleanliness of the vehicles and the garage. He's also got 2 stainless steel dump truck beds. The dump trucks that he has right now are pretty decrepit and falling apart. We're not looking to replace the trucks. Those are fine. It's just the beds, stainless steel, so that
We don't need it right now 'cause we're not
last a
voting on it
number of
today.
years.
Can you just email the pictures, Mark? That would be great.
I've seen those beds, they are.
Yeah, they're dilapidated.
Just speeding it up for you.
So the trucks only have like 30,000 miles on them. There's no point in me coming to you and saying, hey, I need new dump trucks, when all I really need is a couple beds.
Are they lining those beds? I know I used to
No.
stainless steel, but.
No, you don't, there's no need to line.
Because of the stainless
It's
steel?
a stainless steel.
Okay.
So,
How much? I mean, so
55.
How much is the parking lot that repaired?
The parking lot was 225 for the south portion. The,
Is that paving it, or is that, what is that doing to the lot there?
concrete.
Yeah, you have to use concrete.
and then there's 55 for the truck beds.
And it
Correct.
makes sense to do it all in conjunction with when you're tearing things up and doing the fuel pumps and underground tanks.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen you do the tanks first and then do all.
Yeah, you have to do things first, but the water main replacement, which water main are we talking about?
You thought we were done with you.
Just when you think you're safe.
The water
into the
mains
water.
include, let's see, Admiral, Aaron, Sandbrand, Gordon, and College. And also Klein got added to the list because it's on the federal aid road list for 2025. So, oh,
Whenever that door opens, no.
I start
he's
over again?
coming.
I know, I
He's
should
coming
have.
for ya.
So Admiral, Aaron, Sandbrand, Gordon, and College, and then kind of, those are basically the highest priority because of breaks and low fire flows in some cases and whatnot. Klein is on the 20-year capital improvement program, but it's getting moved, we're suggesting it get moved up because it's got federal aid funding coming in 2025 for Klein Road. So we're going to get the water main replaced before we do anything with
Over the
the road.
2.2, that's not just for this year? Is that what you're saying?
That's for this year.
Or that is just for this year?
Yeah, we'll do the water main before the road. We want to get it done well in advance
Didn't
of
we
the
just
road
do
construction.
Klein?
Not the water.
Not the water main, but didn't we just fix Klein? Didn't we just do something on Klein?
We did,
Little
we
patching.
did some patchwork on Klein, yes.
Just because I feel like you're going to tell me yes, and then I'm just probably going to like lose it. But where we just fixed it, are we going to be digging that up
No.
to put the? Okay, I was going to say, come on, guys. I mean, it's just like every time I turn around, 14 Mile, they keep blocking it halfway and then blocking it, and then they're like, oh, just kidding, we're done, and oh no, we're not done, and then okay, we're not done, and I'm like,
Water mains in the green belt.
okay, good, okay, I feel much better.
Thank you, Mark.
You'd be mad
Your
too.
doctor, her doctor thanks you.
You'd be upset if somebody
think-
fixed
I am, but I
road,
wouldn't.
and then yeah. Okay.
Don't kill the messenger.
Oh no, yeah, it is going to happen.
Okay.
I don't have any questions about.
Anything else on that subject? Yep.
Nope, I think that's everything for Mark.
Like, for real this time.
Here, I wrote you a to-do list.
What?
His to-do list?
Because now it's in writing, because I. Nope, no, don't take it home, take it to your desk, and tomorrow morning,
Okay.
just because there was so much we were throwing at you.
Just for clarification about the Masonic Detention Basin under Department of Public Works for professional contractual services, we do have 250,000 in there to start the engineering work. So that's something where it's going to take a while to do all of the design and engineering work for the detention basin, and obviously that's going to be using those ARPA funds, and likely work won't be until the next fiscal year.
Yeah, because that alone project was a lot of money,
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Write on your list to ask Hunter about the mail, please. Thank you.
Not that list. That's the,
He's got a list. He can add it.
don't you bog down my list.
It's a list for a reason.
Thank you.
As I say in the honor guard, you are dismissed.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
I correct myself. I do have the 1.4 in for the capital.
I thought you did, yeah, I was gonna say, there's 1.4 here.
Worst case, we just move that to next year if that's the case, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Money's saved.
Awesome. Thank you, have a good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Should we do recreation next?
I was just gonna say, let's.
Poor
do it.
gentleman, we want you to
Martez wants
stay.
to come on. Come on now, Martez.
Martez. He's like, what?
No, yeah, he's like, I don't need to come. Yeah,
He's
that's
like,
true.
dude, I'm good. I'm almost going to chill over here.
He's not at the department head.
So should we we'll give you fair warning, Martez, speak directly into the microphone or.
Or it will come out.
That man will come
Wait, don't worry, because we all get yelled
Pull
at
it up.
every meeting. Welcome, first of all. Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Hi again.
Hello. Hello, all.
So recreation.
Okay, did you, because I know you have your budget stuff, but were you successful in getting a hold of the Lions with regards to the fireworks? And then I know you were working on the parade stuff. Were you able to find I know you were looking for that information. Were you able to find any of that?
I spoke to Derek from the Lions Club. He sent me the contract to review for this year for the carnival and everything like that. We talked, it's the last year that the carnival is valid, and then they're going to have to renew it next year. So I was able to get that information from him.
It's on our agenda next.
Is that on next week? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we have.
And Don's already going to review it before we get it?
So contract we've actually already reviewed as part of a 5-year
Same.
contract, but they're required to provide an addendum every year, and that's what should be brought before you. We've not received that addendum from him.
Okay.
So he should be at the meeting to address that, so.
It's just always great if he gets it ahead of time, because
Correct.
I'd rather approve it after Don's approved it.
Just to clarify, the addendum is just the document that shows who's going to do what and who's reimbursing and
Paying
paying
Oh,
for what.
okay.
What?
That's all it is. It's
So that's-
supposed to be like a team meeting where they come in and they meet with public safety and whoever else.
Okay.
Just to figure out, and it should look similar to every year.
Okay,
I don't know
good.
what would change much.
Did we,
Okay, thank you.
for the budget, did we have the same amount we had last year? Is that what was budgeted?
I think we put in more, didn't we?
Oh,
for
we
fireworks, I thought.
increased. What did we do
Yeah,
last?
you guys increased it by $2,000 last year.
So
It was a good show last year.
that was 10? We went to 10 last?
I don't remember what.
I was going to say.
No, we went to 12 last year because it was 10 prior that.
So
I'm almost positive.
next week, I'm going to make a motion for it to be 15. Because the stuff's expensive,
Yeah.
and
Yep, we've got 2 proposals, one for 12 and one for 15.
And didn't we have a private anonymous donor 2 years ago?
that was a couple
Yeah, it
years
was like
ago.
3
That
or
was a
4
couple
years
years
ago, yeah, yeah.
The well is dried up.
I retired, Don, so.
Oh, yeah.
8.
So
Oh, you're the one out there with the little fire.
Lighten them.
Yeah, 2 areas that we have here for our recreation coordinator is Department 672, which is the Senior Activity Center. And keep in mind, this is operations only. And then Department 751, which is recreation, and of course, operations only for that as well. As I have mentioned in my cover memo, what we're really trying to do is at least maintain, if not grow. We have had money in there for part-time temporary employees that we just haven't really gotten there yet, but we need to get there, and we recognize that. So carrying through with this, and like I mentioned, if things are able to grow at a faster pace, we can always do budget amendments to add more employees, add more events. Martez coming in, he is coming in blind.
Blank canvas is what I want to say.
Everyone's been very helpful, though, so.
I think it's
Say
good
armed
that
with all of your experience.
Yeah.
You can make this your own, that's what I like about it, that, good ideas
You
we
don't
gotta
have
do.
to totally reinvent the wheel.
No, you don't have to totally reinvent, but what I'm saying
new
is we can,
ideas.
new ideas, fresh perspectives, and absolutely. So,
Really aren't any significant changes or anything in the budget for this. The only thing is that, we're just kind of reallocating and consolidating some of the line items.
quick, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
And I was just gonna say, Martez, based on our meeting too, just keep council posted as your events. We would probably like to just see what you're gonna do in the future, your main ones, and then your timing on that, and then whatever help you need, whatever support, and, this group has a lot of history in this city about helping you, like we talked about.
As far as now, it's just the upcoming fireworks and parade. Next month was a smaller event, just Jazz in a Park with the Fraser High School Band.
Nice. New ideas. Like it.
That's it's just gonna be them playing jazz music for an hour, and then I'm gonna have a maybe food truck or ice cream truck there as well for the.
Ooh, that'll be good.
That's a good idea.
I saw a lot of excitement on social media about that in the last couple days, so.
And the band is very, very popular in Fraser, so there
Very.
will be every parent, every member of the jazz band will have at least 4 people per person to come read and I'm not exaggerating.
I know, I'm a band
did,
parent, for real, we'll be here.
Yeah.
I was wondering, if they were like my high school band, we were terrible.
No.
No. Matter of fact, there are more
They're
people, like
amazing.
the prom king and queen are typically now
Yeah.
band people.
Yeah, I did see
the-
like
the choirs, too.
them on YouTube for like a competition they had in
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia. So
Yeah,
Turn
no, they're
saves.
very,
they were pretty good.
they're very well supported by the community. So, ice cream truck or a food truck is an excellent idea. They will make money.
Yeah, for sure.
So I got a question. He's coming in kind of with a blank slate here, starting from scratch. Do we have some basic funds in here for him to buy supplies? If we're starting up a sports team, we're going to need some basic sports equipment, things like that to have when we do up there. Do we have a reasonable amount budgeted so he has something to work with rather than, like $10,000-$15,000? I'm thinking over the next years. Well,
No, there's a couple hundred, I think.
well,
Budget's
but that's
100
salary and everything. I'm just talking about actual equipment. If we're running outside events,
Well, that's when she said that we can make a budget adjustment as they come along, kind of thing.
yeah, but do we want to
have a lot of-
piecemeal? I would like to
have a
get,
lot of equipment, and the thing is, I know Sarah was finding all of the little stashes of where all the equipment is and kind of started going through that. That's something that Martez is gonna have to spend some time going through because we do have a lot of equipment, so we certainly don't want to go out and buy stuff if we already have it and we just.
To us for that. That's not.
well, not if it's
we've
not
never-
budgeted, though.
He's got $100 and whatever $1,000. I mean.
Well, that's not all.
Got 20,000 in there for programming, so
Okay.
that can be used for.
Okay, so that's flexible for him to use for, okay,
Maybe not
that's fine.
necessarily
That's
sports equipment,
No,
but
but-
like, you have the water balloon.
some small events that get kids out, get kids active in the parks and using the parks. So we got new parks, right? So let's
Have an
showcase
adult
them.
one, too.
Yeah?
Or we
just
can always
saying.
do a movie in the park. We did that. That was really successful, and that was not very that was not
It was
costly.
very costly if you do because you have to pay the licensing fee.
Home. So I am imagining that they will probably be coming back and looking to renew their agreement. Actually, at the next meeting, we have an extension of their agreement at no additional cost.
My boys are Roseville Junior Sports because Fraser doesn't have anything. So, a lot of kids have moved on, the older ones. But what we could start doing with the sports kind of phasing it is with your T-ball, your little flag football, stuff where the newer parents haven't, established for the sports. It's a little too late this year, but I think we need to start small on the sporting end and then build that up because you'll have a whole new generation of kids come
It
up
would be
there.
nice too if we're going to combine.
The sports programs were not successful in Fraser. It was dying out. They didn't have enough to fund 2 basketball teams. Like literally, there was 5 kids on a team, so no kid got a break. And society has changed, times have changed. People want to go to the travel sports because they're
Commercials. And they actually have tag. It is actually a sport where there are teams and they're in an arena and they play tag and they're professional tag people who,
Red Rover.
I swear to God.
professional cornhole.
Professional tag is a real sport, and actually there are colleges
It is.
who give out.
The world is
You can combine and play by the same rules, and that way there's competition up there and it keeps those programs alive.
Yeah, I think I like think outside the box, get different things. Like you already did with the jazz night of
That's
jazz.
awesome.
Yep. Excited. All
You
right.
do you, and the city will adapt and grow. It's a new city. I mean, my street has turned over with 8 houses selling in the last 9 months, and new blood and new ideas, and that's awesome. That's exciting. I'm excited to see what it brings. So we can see where the value added is, right? So, whatever we're spending, and the budget's fine because, you didn't change it, but are we putting our efforts and our money in the right place? Are we servicing enough people points so that then for the future you have those? Because that's something that is for planning always needed. we only know from empirical, because we were there, sitting there with our kids, or, getting the emails that, oh, it canceled because we don't have enough girls for girls' basketball or whatever.
I mean, we had coding camp right before COVID, and that was packed.
Right.
For kids.
Right. Yeah, because definitely anything with technology is going to be a huge hit. So, welcome and good luck. But that's just, I keep asking every budget year, data.
Do you have any questions for us, what you need from council, or?
Well, really right now, just, learning from everyone else, their small pieces to create a bigger piece. And just learning everything that I can do. I'm still in the motion. This is my first time in municipalities. I've come from, the YMCA. So just learning everything that I can do here. And
Run with it and make sure it gets
All yours.
advertised out, so people know about it, 'cause
Well, you can
been
have it on
shuttered-
Facebook, and then someone will go, I didn't see it. And you're like,
I
scroll
know,
up.
That would
but
be
we
me.
gotta do
That'll go on Facebook.
multifaceted, once you've got a
Advertising.
vet plan, we gotta find a way to get the word out.
it's gotten a bit easier over my time here. I have been, meeting with other communities who've had problems with their attendance and them getting people out to do things. So we do share events just so we can, market each other's events and
You're
Good
good.
to go. He's like, wait, I'm out of the hot seat.
Have a good evening. Who do we want to do? Who's quick?
Bob with building should be pretty quick.
All right.
Building planning.
And Bob's like,
I'm the
I'm ready to
builder.
go. Sam's like, I've been standing up holding this wall for 2 hours.
Sorry. Well, you're a big
You're
chunk.
you're the half, literally
We gotta take a
half.
break before we get to
Yes,
you.
absolutely, but you're half. I don't know, hopefully you'll be able to answer this, but, so, under building, so it says professional and contractual services. So, is that McKenna? We need to have a discussion after this about that. Bob already knows. So now, the increase that the requested budget, so you're looking at their wages went up as well, so their contract? Or I thought the contract we were in, wasn't that a stipulated amount, or did it have in there for growth, like, or,
So the reason so that was kind of an estimate of increased work.
okay. That was mine.
A couple of the big projects coming down the pipeline. We've got the building in front of Carmella.
Yep, Fairway Packing's coming up. They should be breaking ground pretty soon.
The other ones, I know we had conversations about
Yeah, we
those.
just talked about this. Yeah.
He's the mic
Fairway's
Nazi.
Still going, that should be pretty much the next month or two, that should be done. Juan Blanco's, that should be done in another, probably 2 months.
Yeah,
That
he
long?
wanted
Wow,
open,
that
he wanted open
long?
tomorrow, but
I know, I wanted to be on that patio with weeks.
he didn't make
Oh,
it.
yeah, I thought for sure that was going to be open by Cinco de Mayo.
He wanted to.
Hoping.
Wanted to, but a lot of work.
It looks amazing, though.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm very much looking forward to giving that a shot.
I mean, not that we aren't excited about the others, right? Just super excited to have margaritas on the patio.
Well, with that, I know this, well, no, it should kind of sort of be in your, so have we gotten any success with having the county come out and reevaluate having a light there in front of,
They have to do a traffic survey.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Have we moved anywhere on that? Because I don't know if that falls under your, but,
Or a stop sign, or, not a stop sign, a no.
okay,
no
I wasn't
left
sure.
turns.
But that just made me think of that since you brought that up. But yeah, have we reached out to the county about reevaluating that?
I've been working on the budget.
Okay,
I have not made any progress on that yet, no.
okay. Is that something like that you could delegate to Mark to start? I mean, I know he's busy too. I'm not saying he's not, huh?
Just gave him a big.
Well, no, I know, but that's literally, a phone call to find out
They
what the
did one,
process-
just so
I
you
know,
know, they did one before,
I know.
for the planning commission.
Yep,
When
right,
the plan, because they had to get variances and things.
Right.
I know, because I attended the meeting, not as a councilperson, but as a layperson, because there was all that hoopla about Starbucks and traffic.
Right.
And the county was adamant, traffic lights create more accidents, and we're not putting something in there, because it'll be a major cluster. So.
Yeah.
So,
They said.
yeah, no, so
I'm just thinking, but the dynamics
nothing
of that
changed.
area.
They
yeah.
know that. They
Dynamics have
anticipated that, and they
changed.
anticipated it with a Starbucks there, where the Big Boy is. Big Boy and a Starbucks, and they said,
Yeah, they're gonna move over.
yeah. So I'm just telling you, like, don't anticipate any.
Oh, that's
difference
fine.
of
I just,
opinion.
but no, and that's perfectly
But
fine.
I'm not saying don't do it, but
I'm just saying, because it has been brought up by a number of residents, that at least we can say, hey, we tried, and if you're mad about it, you can't, like,
to
you
the
know,
county.
go to the county. Just like the whole thing with the,
I don't know, was it the ZBA or the Planning Commission that required that as part of the,
Right.
it must have been the ZBA would be my guess, right?
yeah,
One of them required
One of
that
them did, yeah.
specifically.
I know, living in that sub, you just learn which ways to go.
Oh,
It's got-
absolutely.
You know, I mean, you go out
But-
by the senior center to get anywhere nowadays, or on Hayes, because you just know.
yeah, all the,
Certain times of the day, it's got to be that way. Yeah, I mean.
It's like trying-
It's a pain, don't get me wrong, but it's not a pain 24/7. It's certain times of the day are worse than others, and you just gotta, if you live in that sub and use that, you gotta account for
like
it.
trying to find one of the mile roads that's not have construction on it.
Yeah. And hopefully, the opening of the street there on Moravian will help alleviate that a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll get better. Is there anything going in between AutoZone and Classic, where that house was torn down? Is there anything being slotted to build that?
Developer that owned Starbucks and National Corn Island bought it. We don't know exactly what's going in there.
Oh, you mean the contractor that built those buildings, so, okay.
We don't know exactly.
But it's not
We
been,
heard it's gonna be a split
Mini-
duplex or a office building.
Really?
For two, like a phone
Office
center.
buildings across the street that were vacant for 20 years.
Bigsby Coffee or something, I don't know.
okay.
So,
Don't have a very big footprint.
Nope.
No, that's why I was figuring probably another fast food restaurant or someone's gonna.
Nothing's
throw in
been
there.
said yet.
Okay, just curious.
Myers is doing inside remodels inside there, and then the gas station's underway. They got their plans for the gas station also.
Same place, just
Myers.
redoing it?
Yep,
Okay.
Yeah, just facelift, things like that.
Okay.
Some stuff on the inside.
So what's going on with the buildings that are?
We need you to come back for a quarterly meeting and a regular.
No, because they redid them all and everything, right next to the Buscemi's on 13 Mile. And,
Oh, that little strip mall?
Yeah, that like empty
yeah.
strip mall.
yeah, it's like empty. And they,
Yeah.
they did all those upgrades, made it look pretty, and now it just sits vacant.
It's odd spot, though.
It is an odd
Starting
spot,
to-
but.
They're starting to move on it again. The electrician pulled the permit for electrical.
Oh, okay, so they basically came, probably because of COVID, they came to like a holding, okay, I gotcha.
But it is, it
At
is-
least they made it look pretty.
It was Little Caesars back in the day.
Yeah.
It was
That's
until it
Little
had black mold. I used to work there.
Oh,
It did. That's why they closed it there.
all right, thanks. I don't have any questions for you, Bob.
Well, it's a totally new
Let's
building.
keep moving.
Exactly.
One thing
I'm good.
to keep in mind, what falls under Bob as well is the planning and zoning departments. There really aren't any significant changes at all.
And code enforcement.
And code enforcement, yes.
Yeah, just keep that up.
Here comes summer.
I got 2 complaints today. I'll probably send you one of them. One of them's nonsense, but,
Right.
you know, springtime, summertime, everyone's getting out and everyone's noticing everything.
Yeah. Bill's, he's very good at his job.
Okay,
Very good at his job.
good. And try to be proactive, too. We hate the citizens to be calling us all the time. If they can be proactive, that's all.
You got to appreciate
They've been
people.
working on developing a plan to have him have some time to be a little bit more proactive and trying to get some of these people that are maybe working without permits. So we've got that he'll be working on. We've tackled a couple very big outstanding blight issues with kind of the help of Bob and Bill working together with Don, the attorney, being able to work through the process and make improvements and clean up the properties, put it on their tax bill. So we've got that process now, I think, pretty well vetted and in place. And
Don, you know which one Mike and I want to know about. Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
going well.
No. Dear God,
Later.
it's a special meeting, budget only.
I said later. I
What we
said later.
Remember, you asked, and I said, budget only.
I'll ask you before I leave.
Thanks, Bob, for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
See ya.
And the biggest,
But can we have a break?
yeah, I know, that's why I said, just run to the restroom really quick.
Sure. Give you
All we have
Here.
left is, well, we have
Yep.
clerk and,
just 7 minutes.
God love you. You are so
Thank you.
cooperative.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I'll call the meeting back to order, 8:37 PM. Mike's on. Saved you.
Didn't say anything yet.
Okay, Department of Public Safety.
All right, so for public safety, obviously, we have the wages already in here from the POAM contract, and all of those other affected ones are taken into consideration in this budget. As far as any of the additional items, we've got for capital outlay, flock cameras, 2 patrol cars, and 4 radar units. One of the things that Sam's going to be struggling with in this fiscal year is some of the turnover from people retiring and increased costs for those new hires from the perspective of training and outfitting and other miscellaneous expenses like drug testing, things like that. For the patrol cars, I do want to mention, she did mention today that the patrol cars we have in our current budget are still kind of on back order. I think we're like one of 60 on the list, so I just wanted to let you know it may be something that'll be shifted from the current budget to this next fiscal year.
Those are the Explorers that are back-ordered, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just, I asked Mark to reach out and find out what the status was, and so he did that, and our representative was like, oh, let me look into that, I'll get back to you, and then called back today and said that he's waiting on 60 vehicles, and we have 2 of those, and that it doesn't look like they're gonna get here before the end of the fiscal year. So, he didn't have
Really?
any control, I know, right? He didn't have any control over that, he says, I mean, it's not him, he's just, he's the messenger. This is Ford, so, I guess there was some talk about even canceling all of those 60, but, I'm not ready to, panic yet and see, but he's pretty confident that he'll get the cars, but not in a timely fashion, unfortunately. And then once we get them, of course, we got to outfit them, and so it just keeps going, because I know
Right.
I think we had ordered these cars last summer, so, or at least in the fall. I know that I talked about it in the fall, once we had to update the price, so, yeah, I don't know when we're going to get those cars, but it's not going to be soon.
Is there alternatives from GM that you can look like? the Tahoe, or-
We can, and we did that comparison when I asked for the budget amendment, because they raised the price of the cars that we had originally been approved for. And we did do that cost analysis about the Tahoes, which were significantly more expensive. So we decided to stay with the Ford vehicles anyway. But that is something that we can look at again and see if we're able to get those, or maybe look into, Durangos or something else. I mean, I don't know, that it's going to require a little bit of legwork to see if there's anything comparable to what we're used to that would be available sooner.
Okay. Good luck with that.
So what are flock cameras? So it's basically license plate reader technology.
Oh, okay. I love those.
It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right, if you ask them. But, so they've been at, they have a huge, I don't want to say following, but they're certainly developing and increasing the cities that are using this product. And they've been at all of the conferences around and hosting a lot of events where they're, trying to get their product out there. Excuse me. So we actually did have them come here. And we invited the superintendent of the schools also to come and watch this presentation. And in essence, it's cameras that you put up out in the roadway, and it reads license plates quickly. Like as cars are going, it covers like 2 lanes of a particular road facing a particular direction, and it just snaps pictures of license plates. It doesn't collect any demographic information, doesn't give any registration information. It's not writing tickets. It's not for traffic enforcement at all. It is just a license plate reader. But what the technology does is, if there's a crime that's been committed wherever it is, and that information of that vehicle is put into this software, if the flock camera catches that license plate, boom, it shoots a signal to the police department and says, this car that's wanted in
whatever, sit in Detroit, Oregon, wherever it's wanted for whatever the crime happens to be, whether it's a stolen car, somebody who had committed an aggravated assault and was last seen in this car, somebody who committed retail fraud, whatever, homicide, bank robbery.
Amber Alerts.
Amber Alerts, absolutely. I mean, the list goes on as to why the information would be put in the system, but the license plate is put in the system from another police department. Flat camera snaps it, shoots the information to the police department, and says, hey, the car that's wanted for
Whatever.
kidnapping is, westbound on 14 Mile from, whatever, was picked up by the camera that's wherever we happen to have the camera. And it'll tell you where that is and what time it was there. So, and it's even got more benefits than that.
Yeah, I just actually read that in Atlanta, they have those.
Yes.
And that's how they caught that mass shooter, is
Absolutely.
that camera picked up the lands that was stolen in a gas station, and they got going down the highway 20 miles away, and they knew where he was going.
Right, and so that's the most recent example, and you happen to hear it. I've got colleagues in other states and in Tulsa, and actually Roseville tonight. Before I came to this meeting, I heard on the radio Roseville say flock hit on such and such. I just heard it on the radio. I didn't hear what the situation was. I just heard them say flock hit on and give the information, and I was like, oh, isn't that timely? But it really has great uses, and even if it's just a partial plate that they have, if it's even if like the plate is obscured a little bit, but they can only see like this many letters. I mean, it has to do with the information that's put into the system from the officers that put it in. So you like the color of a vehicle, if it's got a particular sticker in the back. And so when the flock takes a picture, I mean, it's not just here, it takes a larger picture of the car. So it would even pick up on, okay, well, here's a red sedan and it's got these two numbers that we know and the sticker in the back. And it'll send the alert. So, and then when the officer gets that information, they're able to look at the software and see how many, it'll show you, it'll send the pictures back so the officers can see and make a determination if this thing actually does fit what their information is from the crime or not. So that's just it in a nutshell. There's obviously, a whole lot more that we could discuss regarding that in PowerPoint presentations and whatnot. But I think it's a great thing. The cost is $3,000 per camera per year, but they handle all the maintenance on them. They install these cameras. If there's updated technology, they replace these cameras. And one of the beauties of it is other agencies that also have flock, all the information is shared. So if there's information from Clinton Township, from their flocks, we can get that information as well. It's not like, oh, we only have access to our flock. When you own flock, you own all of flock. And so long as other agencies participate in the sharing, which they do, there's not reason not to. I mean, that's the whole point of it. Then you have access to all of it. So it really is a great thing. Superintendent Wozniak really was impressed with it too. And she's also willing to come in and talk about this with us as she was in the presentation. And the school is looking to partner with us if we're able to do this at some point and share the cost of.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah. Right, I think it's a great idea.
So it would be an annual budget thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then it only can be used if there's a crime entered in for that particular plate number or whatnot. That's
Right.
the only reason,
It's
that's-
just the plate reader. It gives no demographic information. It does not write tickets or monitor speed, and it does not even give the registered owner. So it doesn't have anything to do with, we're looking for, John Doe. It's the car. It's the plate. It's not the person. It's not anything but that information that was inputted.
And then you get a hit, does it go to the patrol cars that are out there? Like, how does that information received? So
Well, it's
real time.
Right. So it's the software that comes in, and then yes, it does get put out that way. I can't tell you all the particulars about how.
Right. But I'm just saying
It's
it is
connected to
a,
the system, and it does shoot it out to the police department, and it's got to be timely. I mean, that's.
right. Otherwise it's useless.
But it does come through dispatch, and honestly, I can't tell you right now where the main is and how it gets shot out. I don't recall all those particulars, although it was discussed some months ago when we did this. I would be able to look into that, of course. But
And then placement of cameras, we keep that kind of secret,
Well, I
or,
mean,
you know, I mean,
You can see them when they're out there. It's not, they're, you know,
Right,
it would
right.
be obvious.
but we don't have.
I don't want to, I'm not willing to say exactly where we would put them. We would discuss where we think strategically we would get
The
best
most-
results from
right.
it. MDOT is a consideration. Roseville has these flat cameras. They have several. And I know that they had some problems with, like, Gratiot in the median, because MDOT's like, well, that's ours, that's not your, whatever. So,
Right.
I mean, there are some considerations, you know.
The city our size, not, how many cameras is that?
Well, I asked the city manager to put in the budget for 6 in hopes that maybe the schools would contribute maybe 4. So, I mean, it's not set in stone, but, the ones with the schools would be closer to the schools. Still
Right, like Garfield
you know,
or
just at
Klein or whatever.
apartments
Okay.
and whatnot.
I think that's a good.
So we would, you know, decide based on where their cameras are going to be too, because theirs are a little more confined to particular areas, and where we think, you know, is it going to be near the subdivisions? Is it going to be on Groesbeck? Is it going to be on the Mile Road? Like, we would make those determinations, and Flock actually comes in as well and does an assessment to where they think that the cameras would provide the best use.
Okay, and then last question, is there like a contract, like a long-term contract we got to sign? Like if.
I believe it's year to year. I don't recall offhand exactly what that is. I have the information sitting here. I could probably dig through that, but.
No, just, because if we're putting in the budget, are we putting in the budget have
Well,
to, for the next 5 years?
It's
or-
year to year.
Okay.
So if next year we decided we didn't want them, they'd come and take them out. That's what I believe.
Without any penalty or anything like that, if it's, okay, all right. I think it's a good idea.
Councilwoman Bransky.
I'm in favor of the flock cameras and everything else that's in the budget. But you brought up something because you have had a conversation with the superintendent of the schools and already looking to partner, which I love. One of the things I don't think we've capitalized on in the past is partnering with them to really make sure they carry their full load. And one thing that already came up was the crossing guards. I don't know if you were in here.
I was, absolutely, and I can address that.
Okay, please.
The crossing guard?
Yeah.
It is a public safety responsibility. I believe it's even state law that says it's our responsibility to handle those crossing guard details. So it's up to us to hire the personnel to do that sort of thing for where we think we need them, you know, for the highest traffic or whatever, but it is a public safety responsibility. And what happens is if you don't have a crossing guard that shows up because they're sick or whatever, and there isn't a replacement, a police officer has to go there. So then we take somebody out of service and we put them there. So, I mean, I know it sounded probably like a high jump in pay from 11 to 15, but it's
Oh,
one
no,
of
it wasn't
those
even about
things-
that.
Okay. but it's
It was
one of those
literally
things that-
about, but that's a school function, so that's what it was about.
State law.
But it's not, it's a public safety to make, get the kids to school. They're crossing our streets and, they're not on the bus. They're crossing our streets and they're busy streets and nobody wants the kids to get hurt, of course. That's the whole point, which is why it's this one and not, others perhaps. But, and it's one of those jobs too where it's 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the middle of the afternoon. And if the schedule wasn't bad, the weather is worse. And, it's God bless them that decide that they want to come out and help out and do that. And so you have to give them some sort of incentive to.
Oh, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is why I asked for the pay increase.
Yeah, the pay thing wasn't the issue. I just wanted to understand
But
why.
it's our responsibility.
And then the only other thing, an area of opportunity is negotiating for the school, I think, school resource officer, whatever the title is now. I don't feel like the school's paying the full freight of that role based on what other municipalities are getting. I think the last I saw, the county was getting like $140,000 an officer for the schools that they're filling. So I'd like to see some ability to increase the amount we're getting back from.
That's correct, and I actually have had conversation
perfect.
About this, and I believe we come to some sort of agreement, which is, because the rate that the school has been paying for our school resource officer was that rate about 5 years ago. So we have had conversation about increasing that to what the officers are making currently, which actually was before this contract settled, but, so they have agreed, I mean, it was an easy conversation.
Yeah, no.
There's no argument.
That's what I was going to tell you. The school board already was surprised they weren't paying as much, the members I know, and I
Right.
said, listen, we're coming, because their budget, surprisingly, the school board's budget is like 60 million. And I said, what? As soon as I found that out, I said, we're coming for more money on a lot of
So
things.
we are asking for more money. They
Good.
did ask if we
Good.
could incrementally increase it over the next couple of years to get it to a particular point, because it was a significant increase, the amount of, the rough math that I had done and had asked her about. And so they did send over a proposal to me with, like I said, like a 3-year increase to get to where we should be. So that's, still something that I haven't
Yeah. 'cause
brought
I-
over to the city manager
I
yet,
think
but-
we've given them the favor of reduced, amazing police service that they can carry the full freight. And I'd say that to her, and I have, so.
She's
Yeah,
very
they know
accommodating,
how
very-
good it is. They don't want to go elsewhere. They want Fraser. But they know that Fraser costs, and the costs have gone up. And I don't know that in the past we included the entire cost of the officer for how much they're there. So I'm glad that you're already on it, and just the more
Yeah,
revenue we
had
can
the
recoup.
conversation some months ago. Their contract, for lack of a better word, is around March, April.
Okay, perfect.
When it renews, and so this is when, we started having this conversation, and I threw out the number that I thought was appropriate after, talking to the city manager, and then again, like I said, they came back and said it's a little more palatable if we're able to, step it up a little bit as opposed to, bam, this is what it is. So we're trying to work together on that.
Perfect.
So I think we've got that
Awesome.
handled.
Sounds like you're doing everything that I wanted, so thank you. Appreciate it.
I just have like one question. So for the 2 patrol cars, are these the ones that are already back ordered, or are these in addition to?
These,
Okay. So my next question is, because they're what, like about 50 grand? When they're all loaded,
7,
right? Is that money, can we split the baby, like take one out of your like the budgeted year, and then take one out of the forfeiture? Or is that not allowed? 'Cause, I mean, we bought the fire truck.
Yeah, you can take it out of either truck or,
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure, because I know they have very specific uses, so. Right. Well, I just wanted to make sure though, like, what I'm saying. So could we split the baby and take one car out of that fund and then one car out of the budget?
We have a transfer of 120 coming from drug forfeiture to cover the vehicle purchase.
Oh, okay, so it's already, okay. Well, that works even better then. Cool. That was really all I had. I'm just wondering if we could do that, but if we're gonna do that anyway, hey,
you got 2
that
cars,
works.
not just one.
Well, no, I know, but I'm like, that's even better.
yeah, that's what they've been trying to do for years.
I guess the question though is maybe then bring it sooner for approval if it's taking that long. Just like with hiring and just like with everything else, that if you were slotting to request it in.
Yeah, if you could get 4 out of the 60
October.
cars, get 4.
If you were slotting to request it in October, maybe you come in July because they're so far behind. It's just a recommendation, because
As I say,
you'll get a 7-0 vote.
if you could get 4 instead of 2 now,
Well, yeah.
think about that.
Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Because maybe another city said, no, I gotta go somewhere else, I can't wait.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Maybe there's a couple available extra.
given the budget numbers,
I mean,
you can do it sooner than later, especially given the lead. I would vote for it.
We,
Yeah.
I can't, not today, darn it,
well,
but
but we could fund that, that wouldn't be a problem.
I think it will pass.
Okay.
We would rather be in front of the cart instead
Yes.
of behind it, because we have been behind it so many times.
I agree.
So.
When we
Tell us
can.
what you
Absolutely.
need. Tell us
When
what
we
you
can.
need. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us what you need to be in front of the cart, and we will do everything we can to make that happen.
Yep.
Anything else?
That was my only question.
All set?
Thank you.
We got a couple more things for her. Let me just quickly move on to communications dispatch. This is our Sarisa contract. The cost is going down from 410 down to 341.
Woohoo!
Yay.
That is
Who did that?
due to the 911 revenues that they will be getting to help offset expenses.
Yay.
So we're paying for that as individual tax and
Yes.
cell phone
Uh,
holders.
I should be paying for something with that cell phone.
No, we're paying an extra tax,
No,
your
I-
bill's going up.
I know, my bills, it already has. That was my point.
Next, we have the ambulance fund, 210, really no changes or anything in there. I think it's just the,
If I can just come on the ambulance too, being on that committee, we've ordered those, they're about a year and a half behind, I think, on those too.
Right?
I know ours is still pretty fresh, but
Right? It'll be coming due sooner rather than later.
and I think we've got a couple more, the drug forfeiture. As I mentioned, we've got the 120,000 for the vehicle purchase. We've got the year 2 out of 5 payment to Motorola for the WatchGuard cameras, and 15,000 comes out of there for tasers.
I love tasers.
And then gambling forfeiture, nothing going on there. I think that's pretty much it for your budget.
I know, that's why you said, oh, you've got this huge thing, and I'm like, oh.
Well,
we'll
money-wise,
Anyways,
money-wise.
I have one question for you. What, if we've always talked about cameras at McKinley Park.
that's exactly what I was saying.
Because, they're always doing destruction. They've torn out the fire truck quite a bit. And those, we gotta always put new ones on. And, is that something that the department should handle, or is it more something the city would be responsible for?
I would think the city, but you know what? I guess I would have to look into that and see. I mean, obviously, we've got cameras all around this building, and this is what, we monitor as far as having cameras at a location like the park. I'm not sure how that would work, how that would tie in, who's gonna monitor those? Is it just gonna be recorded and then you can see later, or is it gonna be something that's monitored? Those are all considerations. But that's something that we can look into. I know that that's been an issue with the bathrooms here for
Yeah, Mark's
sometimes.
been doing some investigation for camera options for parks.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
so, we'll gotta get what's best for, because you have to be the one, if there's damage, to review the tapes. And
I was gonna say, are we allowed to have a conversation off the record about the cameras, or do we have to let the public know whether they're monitored or unmonitored, taped or live? Mr. Denault?
I don't know, I don't understand.
So, okay, so,
You don't have to tell anybody unless they FOIA it.
so in other words, because to me, I got cameras on my house, and I got a little thing on my phone, so I know when someone, as opposed to, it's a tape, and it's grainy, and it's this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to be mindful of maybe if we were going to go there, we were mindful of how we represent what we're doing, so that,
We need to have signs at the park saying.
Nope,
that cameras.
I'll discuss
Ask later.
Yeah. We don't want to tell the people who are destroying our parks that it's a certain type or a certain protocol.
How they're going to be monitored.
Yes. In my opinion.
I agree with you. Let it be.
the camera lenses and a duct that goes back and forth.
Right? The fear factor is huge, and the fear goes down if,
I think it's a good idea to put
They know how to
cameras at the park.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Regardless of how it's decided to be done. I mean,
So I get
it's
your-
beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work it out between everyone.
Anything else?
Elaine?
I guess just from the remainder of the budget perspective.
I know, for her.
Oh, for her? No.
Thank you.
I'm sprung.
It's like,
Thanks.
I should
Going, going, gone.
You're dismissed.
From the remainder of the budget, we've got some of these other small departments, finance, clerk, not really a lot of significant changes or costs, anything in any of those departments.
Because we allotted for those positions that we've already voted on, right? That's
Correct.
figured into this budget, so
Yep,
it's,
yep.
we're just
And
not
then
paying anybody yet for certain
in the
positions.
City manager department, that's where the HR coordinator will be. That's just one person, so I'm not segmenting that out to an entire department. It doesn't really make sense to have all those new line items. That'll just be someone just under my direct supervision. As far as finance, it's just a matter of getting the bodies in place, which certainly the subcommittee, we need to take next steps for that position. For the clerk's department, one thing I just kind of wanted to touch on, because I know this had been mentioned at previous meetings about advertising. We worked with Don, and we're kind of looking at the schedule, because things with C&G had changed. They're not having the magazine or the newspaper published as often. There are requirements for publishing that we have had to move our advertising to Macomb Daily. So I just wanted clarification in there. We do have that in the budget under subscriptions and publications, because that is, I wouldn't say significantly more, but it is a more costly place to do all of our advertising, and that really is why we have migrated to that. I'm not sure if I had mentioned that before. If not, I do apologize for that, but we do have it in the budget, and I just wanted to make sure that that was brought to your attention.
Interrupt you for 1 minute? Optimistically, the legislature is actually looking at that very closely right now as part of their new initiatives, and the MML's reporting that they think there's a good chance that the legislature is going to overhaul this whole public notice concept. It's very antiquated, and to save communities a lot of money on publication costs like this one. You know, it's because we're doing it for, zoning board, planning commission, public meetings. So optimistically, by the time we get to July 1st, when the budget starts, there's a good chance we might have some electronic options and online options and maybe less of that newspaper stuff. So, just so you know.
Can those be sent out, like we talked about with the bond issue on the water bill? Can public notice go out on the water bill since we're mailing it already?
And we're electronically getting it.
But it has to be public notice, that'd be personal notice.
Right now, it's mandated by law that it be published in a newspaper of regular publication. I think it's every week, correct? At least once per week. And because of COVID, C&G cut down to what, once every other week?
Yeah.
And that, no one anticipated that unintended consequence.
I think it was daily,
No.
and C&G is like twice a week or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Twice a month.
No, they're,
It was once a week.
I think
Yeah,
they're every other
you're
week.
right, yeah.
Newspaper must be published at least once a week in order for us to use it. So when we caught that after COVID, we realized we had to bear more costs because we don't have a once a week paper anymore other than Macomb Daily. But again, hopefully, by July 1st or shortly thereafter, maybe the legislature will help us with some of that cost.
That's a big one.
As far as the clerk's department, like I mentioned, just the advertising, Municode, we do have some election equipment in here and a new computer for the city clerk. When she was brought on, she actually took a laptop to use for her primary computer, and it really is pretty dysfunctional. It doesn't really allow her to do everything with ease like most people. For IT, we've still got budgeted in there, the part-time employee. We think we might have a line on someone. That's still up in the air at the moment. If not, that'll be advertised again, and still just trying to get a candidate. For assessing, we contract with Assessing Administration Services. We are on the final year of a contract. Per that contract, it's a 2% increase. No significant changes there. Let's see. Legal, no significant changes with that. The district court, this is provided to us by the court. They do have some grants that they'll be working on, and increased training due to COVID, the opportunity now to be able to go to some of that training. Let's see, I already mentioned the communications and dispatches going down, street lighting, just nominal increases projected on that. Historical Commission, because of the buildings and grounds going, the Baumgarten House going to buildings and grounds, really what it comes down to for that group is operating supplies. It sounds like they have decided that they do not want to be really a full and paid board. They kind of want to stay the way things are, so I did not put any elected or appointed officials' pay in there for that. Insurance, the projection is about a 10% increase. As you'll know, we're with Nickel and Saf right now. We've been with them for a while. It is something that in the future we would want to go out for RFPs and make sure that we are getting a good price, but we are in a position, we've had so many incidents where we have had claims that it's really not in our best interest to change the insurance agent at this time. That, for the most part, I think is everything. If you have any other questions, let me know. We do have this, obviously, on the agenda next Thursday, so a really quick turnaround. I'm thinking probably the most significant thing that we talked about tonight is a lot of those parks budget items, which I think is maybe figuring out what kind of number we want in there and not having the detail. If you're in a position where you want to talk about any type of change in number now, or we can actually just approve the budget as is at the next meeting with changing X number to, 500,000 or something like that. I would be comfortable with that as part of the resolution.
Yeah, I'm comfortable just waiting until next week, get the numbers from Mark, so we have having it be more general, a number, knowing that any of the projects have to come to us, any of these items have to come to us anyway, and then just approving it next week it seems to be the most efficient use of resources.
Mr.
Unless
Riddell?
anyone else disagrees.
Don't disagree. Just one other thing I forgot to mention earlier. So one thing I would like to see, especially with park projects, road bonds, things like that, I really think that the city needs to invest in a professional grant writer. I think we're leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to state and state grants and things like that. Because if we get, especially if, for sidewalks, people that do this professionally, I don't know what that cost would be. I mean, with Fraser First, we had a grant writer, but I mean, nothing to the scale of a city. But I think at least we should budget to do that, because I want to stretch our dollars as far as possible. Have you had experience with grant writers in the past?
I have had some very bad experiences with grant writers
Okay,
where we threw money away.
okay.
I think that when we get a new HR person in here, that person hopefully will be able to come and bring some good, fresh ideas for how we could plan for a role for a grant writer. There are different ways that you can bring grant writers on. It can either be like a pay-per grant you write, you get paid if we get a grant. You just have a full-time person that's their job is to get money and pay for really their role. A lot of grants, they do have line items where you can really kind of get reimbursed for that type of role. So I would hope that an HR person coming in would have a lot of good, fresh ideas, and certainly good, fresh ideas on how to recruit people.
Because like with McKinley Park, we got, I think I don't know the exact number, but I think it was over $400,000 in money to build that park from grant writing. And I agree, it can be a good or bad experience. That's what I'm saying. A professional, someone that's had, or a firm that's had good track record, because, just to be honest, we're not all experts in all those areas, but if they've got maybe a firm that one handles road types of grants, one handles park types of grants, I just feel we're leaving a ton of money on the table that we could be going after. So maybe with the HR person coming in, we see, do they have the ability? If not, I don't want to, just throw some of the wall and hopefully it sticks. I want a good concerted effort. I know it's not a, perfect science, because you just don't know if you're going to qualify. But if we can stretch, paying a grant writer, say, just number out of the blue, $20,000 a year to write for grants, and we can get $400,000 or $500,000 in matching funds or whatnot, that's just money well spent. I know it's not a 100% guarantee every time, but I feel that we're missing a lot of opportunities that we could. It's just finding the right type of grant writer. I agree. There's rookies, and there's people that think they're grant writers and they're not. I'm not talking about that. I want somebody professional that has had success in the past, and especially if we've got, again, if the street bond passes, I want to stretch those dollars and get as much as we can get done.
One thing about writing grants that I will say from my experience is that it is something that there are many grants out there. You can find something probably for pretty much anything, but it takes the time to find it and it takes the time to write the grant. Some of the grant writing experience that I have found, the grant writer doesn't have any of the information to write the grant, and you still have to have all of the people that are busy doing their day-to-day job provide information and help for the grant writer. So it isn't a be-all, end-all. But our department heads, everybody has had experiences and has tried to put in for grants. So we're actively doing that. It's just not something that is,
We're actively pursuing grants right now?
yeah, I mean,
On a,
We always do on fire and police.
okay.
She did for election.
We tried for a fire truck.
Okay, no problem. I just,
we've always got things out there, it seems like. So it's not something that is falling on deaf ears at all. I would love to have like a full-time, really good grant writer. I had worked with a professional grant writer, and this person cost us a lot of money, and we got $0 for it. So even just professionals may not be the person. It's an art.
it is an art, yeah, I agree. I just think
And
it's
there's
something.
luck too, because
Some of that, yep.
the audience is, it's not a guarantee.
And the best time, they say now, when I learned at the MML League, is starting 2024 is when the rescue plan money is going to start being available. That's when you want to start applying for all these grants, 2024. So they're going to be a key part in working with to try to find out, because each state's going to get so much money from Washington, and they have to divide it up, and that's when you start writing. That's what they said at the conference, 2024.
Grants, here we come.
I just don't want to leave money on the table for.
We can even take volunteers that can write grants
Exactly.
for the city. Anybody, they
I wrote one for
know
us.
of
I'm still
something,
waiting
some
for the
grant, and want to volunteer to write a grant for us, that would be phenomenal.
We've been pretty successful.
I think so.
I mean, especially on the fire side, even our airpacks was $50,000-$60,000 we got for those things. And hose, we got all new hose. And a lot of stuff.
Motion. Oh, we
Always a good thing.
have to go to the citizens.
Yep. Well, great job, Elaine. Appreciate the work.
It's team, takes a team.
I think you're more on your own on this one.
Well, preparing the actual budget was all me this year. I
you
pretty
were
much had no help, but
More
obviously,
you this year than any.
the department heads and everyone, they really pulled their weight, and I appreciate that.
Right. I mean, at the management level. You did it. Anyone from the audience? I see nobody.
15201 Fairview, nobody. No, Laura Lessig. Just a couple things. I was very pleased you guys were bringing up the sealant on the paths in the parks. My only comment on that is to make sure you're not going to seal a path that is not ADA compliant. Like I think in Blanky Park, it should be 6 feet wide and a certain parameter, whatever. So I don't want any sealant on and things that are going to end up being pulled out and redone in the near future, that kind of thing. And I believe there is a path at Boris Park as well that might want to be looked at. Just a small little one.
Old.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the cameras. That's very important. That's something that's very concerning with McKinley Park. They, like Councilman Odell mentioned, we have all kinds of vandalism. The library doors are broken every day practically. So we're constantly fixing things. And just me, but I think it's important that the community knows there's cameras out there. And that may deter them from doing things like that. I didn't notice, and I'm new looking at these numbers. I didn't see anything in there about election costs. We had talked about this at the last meeting that you may have an election in August. Do you have extra costs there? Maybe it's peanuts, I don't know. And of course, the election in November as well. The building and grounds section has like 1.4 million in it, but it doesn't have any breakdown of how much is going to the Baumgartner House, or how much is going to this place and that place. And I just feel like you don't want to sell yourself short in one area of the city getting more than the other just because you only have the 1.4. Yeah, you can appropriate extra money there, but now you're taking more money out of the general fund for that. The other thing I was thinking of is the recreation or senior center, that is there anything is the budget considering having that open the full day? So you need maybe an extra people there to manage that. And, this is for the full year, so through up to July of '24, enough programming money in there to do things. Because right now, we should be planning for next summer, what's happening for next summer. We kind of missed out this whole summer right here, so. And that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I see none. I'll bring it back for a motion.
To adjourn? Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, yes, can we please keep going? Please,
going.
please.
Good night, everybody.